It is 10 o'clock. Welcome in. This is Three Man Front. Pat, Landrum, Conrad, Molly with you until 2 o'clock. So much basketball to get into, and we will dive deep into the SEC schedule tonight with Alabama and Auburn both playing at 8 o'clock. UAB Samford also on the hardwood. Let's spread this stuff out a little bit. Why do we got to have it all in one night?
Well, Pat, it doesn't help when you have so many premier teams in your state.
That's true. That's very true. But yeah, having everyone play tonight. Starts at 6:30. Samford's at home against Furman. You've got UAB on the road in Houston taking on Rice. Then you've got Alabama and Auburn tipping off at 8.
Checking out some early lines from Vegas. Very interesting. You've got Auburn as a 15.5-point favorite at home.
It's now up to 16.
It is now up to 16. Mm-hmm. Thank you, Conrad, for firing in. Also, you've got Missouri and Alabama to pick them.
It's now 1.5 Mizzou.
Oh.
I literally, before I walked out of my office, I got
What is the Samford line?
Samford is a 7.5-point favorite.
What about the Blazers?
Blazers are a 4-point favorite.
Okay.
Man. So there's your update. Literally as we speak. A little surprised UAB's figured to be a little bit more, but
that's tricky. Tricky opponent no matter the sport.
So you like the Bama line, Conrad? You firing in tonight? You putting your mortgage on it?
I like being the underdog. It is what it is.
You like that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not surprised you're going on the road, coming off a loss, a bad shooting performance. Looks like Cliff Amore might be out tonight. Darion Reed going to be out tonight. Yeah, so you're a little banged up. Not a huge surprise.
Total's 171.
Well, based on... that's actually a really funny number because if you look at the scoring averages for both of these teams, that would total 172 because Mizzou averages 82 a game and Alabama's at 90. So,
well, tonight,
I wonder where they got that number from.
Tonight in Como, Missouri, the low is -4.
Oh, yeah.
Good thing they play inside.
Yeah, and good that Alabama will get on a plane and fly home. They won't have to worry about sleeping there unless they can't get on the plane.
I was about to say. Don't know if you feel the best about planes right now.
Oh, come on.
I'm just saying there's been a lot.
It's been a lot, but
more than normal.
You're flying out when?
Saturday. And that's been kind of
Are you on one of those carriers?
A side topic at our house.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Thanks a lot.
Are you flying out on one of those carriers that decides to try to land planes on their side?
You know, I saw the movie Flight with Denzel Washington. No, I hope not. I don't even know the air. I think I know the airline we're flying, and they have not been in the news, so that's good.
Oh, that's good.
That's very good.
Good old Frontier. I'm kidding. It's not Frontier.
I was about to say, you normally keep us abreast of all the aviation news, so I just didn't know how.
I've been leaving it alone. Like I said, it's been kind of a deal at my house, not from my side, but more from her side.
That's safer than driving a car.
If I call you guys from the road and I'm in a rental van, you'll know what happened.
So Nate Oates, very big game tonight for the Alabama Crimson Tide. It just does not get any easier after they leave Como. If you take a look at the rest of their schedule, you got Kentucky this weekend at home. You got Mississippi State at home, and then you got to go to Tennessee. Then you got Florida, and then you got to go to Auburn. So, yeah, this is a real rough stretch for the Alabama Crimson Tide. This is Nate Oates talking about the upstart Mizzou Tigers.
Good thing about basketball and conference players, you get to turn around and play right away again. So we get to go on the road and test ourselves against one of the better teams in the league, one of the better teams in the country, to be honest with you. And there's no real easy games left on our schedule. I mean, you look at the rankings of our, we got 6 opponents left. I believe they're all top 25. At least they were before. So I haven't really looked at much other than trying to get ourselves ready for Missouri. They're top 5 in the country in steal percentage. We've had an issue with turning the ball over. So that's a major issue going in this game. Can we take care of the ball so that we're not sending them layups on the other end? Their transition offense is one of the best in the country. They're first in the SEC, I think second in the country in free throws made per game. So we've had an issue with fouling. So a lot of the stuff they do well, we at times this year have had an issue with.
One thing's for sure, Alabama's played very well on the road against top 25 opponents. They're 4-1 this season on the road against top 25 opposition. You just heard Nate Oates talking about it, and Eli Hoff, who joined the show yesterday, previewed the game for tonight, and he was telling us that Mizzou is the second best team in the Southeastern Conference in forcing turnovers. And, Alabama had 21 turnovers at home against Ole Miss. Now, they tapped down those turnovers against Auburn, but unfortunately, when you miss 16 layups, Landrum against Auburn, that's a problem. So if you get an opportunity to get bunnies tonight, you better convert, especially if you're not hitting from the outside.
Yeah, and that's something that Missouri can do. They got a lot of different guys that can shoot, and they can be streaky at times. And like most teams, they play pretty well at home. So I think the Alabama come out and do what you have done on the road for much of the season. Hit them in the mouth and hit them in the mouth early.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a high-scoring game. First off, Alabama, I think it's how many games in a row? 8 straight road games now that they've scored at least 85 points or more. And you've got a Missouri team that likes to run as well. They are very productive shooting the 3-ball. So if you like the 171 tonight, you might look at that over, maybe, possibly. Just a little suggestion there.
Yeah, both good offensive teams, top 5 in the SEC in scoring.
They've got 2 guys that are over 40% from outside. Caleb Grill is 47% from the 3-point line.
Well, he's like 30, so he should be shooting the ball that well. So I think this is his 6th year of college basketball.
He's the Stetson Bennett of college basketball.
That's correct. Formerly of, and I found out last night that Alabama's actually played Caleb Grill before because he used to play at UNLV. And Alabama played UNLV a handful of years ago, and he was there.
So Caleb, he was on the Hoop It Up circuit prior to getting the call from Dennis Gates and saying, hey, we got some NIL money. Come on, let's play.
So the Auburn Tigers tonight, they're going to host, obviously, the Arkansas Razorbacks, a much better team than they were just a couple weeks ago, especially after Coach Cal's team got the big win at Kentucky. But you got this Auburn team coming into the game. Bruce Pearl's 8-13 lifetime against John Calipari. 8-13, but he's got a winning record against Cal at home. He's 7-4. Now that also pays, he was at Tennessee and obviously not at Auburn. So, but as a home coach, he's 7-4 against Coach Cal. The Tigers have sold out Neville Arena 66 consecutive games. And coming off that big emotional win against Alabama, that place will be insane tonight, especially an 8:00 tip-off.
Yeah, and I think that for Auburn, I was asking you guys the other day, which team would it be tougher psychologically to come off of that game that we had at Coleman on Saturday? And Alabama, you would think tougher matchup having to go on the road in Como. But Auburn hosting this Arkansas team, do they come out, do they play around with their food against an Arkansas team that has shown that they can be good at times and they can be a problem? Or do they come out and they handle their business? Because Auburn, unlike Alabama, you look at the final 6 games of the schedule, and they got 3 at home. You got this one, you got Georgia, and you got an Ole Miss team that you beat on the road by 10. So handle your business. I think that's probably the message for Bruce Pearl to his Tigers tonight.
There's no question about that. It's amazing. I was just talking about the sellout streak. They're 54-4 in their last 58 home games. Do you remember the 4 losses?
The 4 losses would have been
all to SEC schools.
Yeah, Florida.
That was the easy one.
Alabama.
Okay, there's 2 more.
Then the other ones would have been, oh goodness.
I feel like there's going to be one we don't expect in there. Is one of them Tennessee?
No.
Mm-mm. Kentucky?
Coach Cal and Kentucky.
And then
one more.
Would have been Florida?
We already said
No, I already said Florida.
No.
Florida, Kentucky, and Alabama. Those are the 3 that you've given me. You're 1 short.
Texas A&M?
It was the Aggies.
Oh.
54-4 in their last 58 home games.
Yeah, pretty good. Not bad.
Let's say that's
not bad.
Pretty well. Let's listen to Bruce Pearl. This is what he had to say about tonight's game against the Arkansas Hogs that you can hear right here on Jocks.
So Arkansas, comes in having won 3 out of the last 2 in league play, and really could have won all 5. They own wins over number 14 Michigan, number 12 Kentucky at Rupp, which is it was a great win for Coach Calipari returning back to Kentucky. Arkansas is talented enough and good enough to beat anybody in our league, and they've obviously proven it. Boogie Flang was a great point guard for them, who's no longer here, but all it did was allow DJ Wagner to move over from the off guard to the point guard position where he's elite, and right now obviously Arkansas is playing, some of their best basketball. Thiero is kid that came in here last year for Kentucky and was physically dominant on the front line. And, Janelle Davis was a kid that transferred from Florida Atlantic that played in the Final Four a couple years ago, and he was their best player. And so this is a very talented team that's playing well right now that obviously needs something a little more to make sure that they're in the big dance. And so our guys understand that Arkansas understands the prize that is on, these 40 minutes, and what a win for them would do, just basically probably take them from being where they are, last four in, first four out, or wherever that, and put them in the tournament.
Well, there you go. Bruce Pearl previewing tonight's game. It's also interesting that Auburn leads the all-time series with Arkansas 15-13 in Auburn, but the Razorbacks have a 6-3 lead at Neville Arena, a winning record at Neville Arena. I'd have to say a lot of teams can't say that, but Arkansas can. 6-3 over Auburn there at Neville. We'll see if they'll have a little juju tonight and get it going against Auburn, because they're going to need it. 13 NBA scouts are going to be in attendance tonight for the game. Don't know how many for Arkansas they're paying attention to. They got a few. Arkansas does have 4 players that average in double figures. I mean, this is not the kind of Arkansas team that started out very, very slow. They're playing much better basketball.
Yeah, and I mean, Thero's going to be a first-round pick. I mean, he's a very good player. We all know John L. Davis hasn't played up to, I guess, what we expected from him, but as Bruce Pearl mentioned, he was the best player on that
Adu is good.
AU team. Yeah, no, I mean, he's got some guys, and not having Boogie Flan, but I mean, just the depth that Auburn has is leagues above what Arkansas.
Well, the
has
thing
right
that you fear if you're Bruce Pearl, you know what they're capable of. You just talked about their roster and the bios on some of these guys, and they played good basketball. They played winning basketball at other programs and done really well. So tonight, if you're Auburn and you come out and you kind of, they look like they were in a daze against Florida at home. If you come out and you do that for a while and you give Arkansas some confidence, they got a lot more to play for, then you're probably going to find yourself in a nail biter.
Yeah, but it's like, I look at it like Pat's brought it up a couple of times this week is, we haven't seen this Auburn team just have a game where they didn't look like they showed up. Like maybe the Florida game, they didn't have their best game, but they still showed up and they had a lead early in that game and you felt pretty good. And we just haven't had a game where it felt like for all 40 minutes, like, oh, that team just didn't show up today. And maybe that happens tonight, but don't have any track record to, think that's what's going to happen in Neville tonight.
Well, Coach Cal's going to do everything in his power to get them motivated. He tried to get them motivated after the game when they lost to Texas A&M, saying, look, you just got to – I mean, if they would have beat Texas A&M, they would have probably, no matter what took place, maybe the next couple of weeks, they probably was going to be in the NCAA tournament. Needless to say, if you beat Auburn –
you're in.
At Neville Arena, I mean, you can probably sleepwalk the next couple of weeks and find yourself, because you're going to have the best win in all of college basketball, by taking care of business. So we'll see what happens. Molly, the 3-man front Twitter poll question of the day has to do with something that Mike Gittins told our show just a couple of days ago, where he said it was going to be Final Four or bust for this Auburn team. And I think that's the question that we're asking our audience today.
Yeah, so today we ask, if Auburn does not get to the Final Four, would you consider it a season, would you consider the season a bust for the Tigers? Yes, it was a wasted season, or no, it was a great season anyway. And right now, winning with over 200 votes is yes, it was a wasted season with 75%.
Wow, that surprises me. I thought a lot more people would say and understand how difficult it is to get to the Final Four. But we've all said on this program that absolutely slam dunk, they better be in the Elite Eight. But based on the way this team is playing and the way they took care of Alabama at Coleman Coliseum, I'm like Mike Gittins. I think it's either you get to the Final Four, this has been a disaster of a season.
Well, and you can't help it, because every single story that comes out, they're talking about how historic this is and the run. And you got the likes of Jay Billis and other basketball aficionados that are praising this team and putting them in historical context and looking at the record, and they got a chance to eclipse what Kansas was able to do with the number of quad one wins. I think at this point, the hay's in the barn. Anything but a Final Four, yeah, you're probably disappointed as a fan base. And honestly, if you ask Bruce Pearl with that group.
Yeah, and I mean, we'll see how the brackets shake up, but I just don't expect there's going to be any game that you're going to look at and go, man, I can't believe Auburn's going to have to play that team potentially to get to a Final Four, right? Auburn is that team for everybody else. So I think that plays a big factor in it is, you're going to be expected to win every game you're in, just like, UConn the last couple of years.
Well, it's interesting because I know that we, whether it's the bracketeer, Rocco Miller, who joins us on this program, whether it's Joe Lenardi at ESPN, Mike DeCourcy, who has been covering college basketball as long as I've been in this business. He was a longtime writer for the Sporting News. He now works for the Big Ten Network. He also works for Fox. And he has just released his bracket for the entire tournament. And it's interesting because I'm sitting here looking at who the potential teams Auburn would have to face. Obviously, I'm not even going to bother the first round, but in the second round, they would have to play either Purdue or Chattanooga. And based on this Purdue team that seems like they're on fumes now, they lost again last night. They lost over the weekend to Wisconsin. Then you get past Purdue, you're going to play either Missouri, McNeese, Illinois, or San Diego State. None of those teams, except maybe Missouri, Landrum, puts any kind of fear of God in me.
I would take the other teams over Missouri as the choice for me to play in that next round.
That you would be scared of?
Yeah, I would not want to play Missouri.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, okay, we're on the same page there. And then you're seeing the other side. You're going to either probably end up playing either A&M, Arizona, Mississippi State, or Baylor. Which of those four? Would it be another SEC team? Would it be Texas A&M?
I would not want to play Texas A&M.
Or Mississippi State. Mississippi State looked really good last night.
Or Mississippi State.
You see the theme here?
Yeah, I do.
It's all of a sudden on your side of the bracket, according to DeCourcy.
Arizona doesn't scare me if I'm Auburn. Baylor certainly doesn't scare me if I'm Auburn. Texas A&M, yeah, we know how.
That the three SEC schools that they would have to get through to get to the to obviously get to the Final Four, all SEC teams.
The only thing that I would say about this, they try to avoid rematches, right?
At least in the first round.
At least in the first couple of rounds. So I don't know if Purdue would be there because they played at Legacy and Auburn obviously had their way. But that's going to be interesting with Purdue to see where they are. Are they on that 3 line when it's all said and done?
Yeah, because Wisconsin's the team in the Big Ten that is trending in the northern direction while, Purdue's going the other direction. Purdue just looked hapless last night against Michigan State. When we come back on Three Man Front, we'll open up the phone lines. We've got a little time to talk to you at 1-800-239-WJOX. Brian Edwards will join us at 10:45. Voice of the Alabama Crimson Tide, Chris Stewart at 11. At 12 noon today, really looking forward to this conversation. Martin Newton, one of the classiest guys you're ever going to find in intercollegiate athletics. He's the Samford AD. He is also on the NCAA Men's Basketball Selection Committee. He's going to join the program. We'll talk a little buckyball, and we will talk to him about the first 16 seeds that they released over the weekend and how that work is going on the selection committee. All of that on a very busy Wednesday. This is Three Man Front on Jocks 94.5. 1022 Jocks 94.5. Thanks for making us a part of your day. I know some wintry weather. Our listeners up on the ump in Huntsville, Alabama. Please be careful out there. Even up in Coleman, got a little dusting of snow. Just nothing but a cold rain here. And on our affiliate in Montgomery, Jocks 740.
Well, there's still some cold weather hanging around, so schedule your system checkup now from a Train comfort specialist. Train has been recognized for 10 consecutive years as America's most trusted HVAC brand and our exclusive home comfort partners here at Jocks. So go and visit Train.com to find a comfort specialist near you.
Before we continue with the basketball talk, I do want to throw out this a little promo because our good friends over at Auburn Undercover, you remember about a week or two ago, they did an interview with Jay Jacobs. Well, Auburn Undercover announced this morning that the Jay Jacobs Show, which will be a regular podcast, will now air on Auburn Undercover, and one of the guests that will be, I think, a frequent contributor will be Terry Bowden. How about that?
Okay.
That's going to be
Are we going no holds barred?
This is going to be worth some good listening there at the Auburn Undercover website. It's a good podcast right there.
Is Terry having to sign an NDA before he joins the podcast?
Get Tiny Terry to talk about the good old days of him and Beebe stalling.
Hey,
going head to head.
Not even that. His departure and what led to it. I want to hear all of it.
Yeah.
Something tells me we will get none of that.
So Terry Bowden will be on the pod with Jay Jacobs.
Well, you count me in as a listener, a subscriber. I will ring that bell.
Many applause for Ron Sanders, man. Ronnie coming through with the big guns.
If we're getting the whole story with Terry Bowden and
I mean, listen, if I'm not mistaken, and I could be wrong, somebody can correct me, but I do not believe that Terry Bowden has done any media or a podcast, especially in the state of Alabama, talking about his time at Auburn.
I don't think he has.
Now, as soon as he obviously left Auburn, he did television work at ABC for a number of years. Then he got back into coaching. But so this is going to be really interesting to be able to listen to Terry Bowden talk about the good old days, the good old days of the Southeastern Conference. Oh, the phone calls between Gene Stallings and Terry Bowden back in the day.
Ooh.
And Stallings would never say the word Auburn. Team down the road.
That's the way it should be.
That's back when the rivalry was salty.
Yeah.
Well, now it's a basketball rivalry, Pat. Let's be honest.
There's too much handshaking going on between Nate Oates and Bruce Pearl.
Yeah, even with the former players, you see Aiden Holloway embracing his former coaches. That's they acted like they really liked each other.
Nah.
There was no venom. No punches thrown.
Well, and the biggest issue now in the coaching world is because all of them are represented by the same person.
Of course.
So, I mean, that's why it was so odd when Nick Saban went after Jimbo Fisher, because Jimmy Sexton had to get in the middle of it and go, all right, hold on now. You're going to start affecting my paycheck. Y'all need to settle this like men.
Yeah. Don't poop where you eat, boys.
That's right.
This is where I eat.
I got a new home in Destin I got to take care of.
That's right.
I'll take care of this. So I just saw that. So Auburn Undercover.
I like how we both went into our
Southern gentlemen.
Colonel Sanders voices.
Speaking of that, did you see where Kentucky Fried Chicken is leaving Kentucky?
Like the headquarters?
What?
Yes.
Where are they going?
Moving to Plano, Texas.
It's never going to be the same.
What kind of tax incentives did they get in Plano?
That's odd, though.
I don't know. Yeah, they're leaving Louisville.
So we're not going to have the Yum Center anymore?
No, they'll still have, obviously, a presence there. But no, the corporate headquarters moving to Texas.
Well, there's a lot of companies that have
Will it
moved
become
to
the
Texas
Texas Fried Chicken?
No. You know, when I went over to Asia, Southeast Asia, they didn't have Kentucky Fried Chicken. They had California Fried Chicken.
But did they use Colonel Sanders?
They totally stole the herbs and spices, the 11.
No, but did they have the Colonel Sanders caricature as their?
No, they had like a caricature of a chicken that did have the little tie on.
See, I had KFC in South America, and I mean, it was KFC, and it was all branded the same and everything. It was not good.
No, I was really disappointed.
Much worse than the product that you get over here.
I was really disappointed when I got the chicken, but they didn't have a side of mashed potatoes and gravy. None of that. You could get rice. And then over there, they don't. This is probably why they're not morbidly obese. They don't give you a whole styrofoam box full of fries. It's just actually what you're probably supposed to eat in one serving.
Oh, the actual serving,
yeah,
as opposed to what we do over here.
Yeah, so like 6 fries is probably what you're supposed to eat.
Can I get some gravy?
See, I was always a more of a Lee's fried chicken guy.
Oh, my mom loves some Lee's fried chicken.
Man, that was good.
It was good.
That was good stuff.
Did you do the sweet tea? I didn't do sweet tea, but weren't they kind of known for their sweet tea?
Yeah, and you could right off campus at UAB, we'd run over there. Me and my fraternity brothers would run over there and grab some. You get some chicken with some mashed potatoes, or you could substitute the mashed potatoes with potato wedges.
Man,
that was good stuff.
Is potato wedge the same as a potato log? Or are they different?
I don't know.
I don't know if I've ever had a potato
I don't think I've
log.
Well,
either.
they're called tater logs. You get a
Is it
tater
like a
log.
sausage? Like shaped like a sausage?
They call them tater logs in a lot of the convenience stores that have the hot bar that you can go inside. You can get you a tornado, an egg roll,
Oh yeah.
a corn dog, some chicken, maybe a pre-made wrapped barbecue sandwich, a cheeseburger, and you get some tater logs.
You know, speaking of food, the thing that really disappointed me the other day when I did the Waco interview where they started going after the SEC, is that I was going to like have a good time with them and talk about mi casita and like maybe coming out there and but it like turned south quickly. So I mean,
once they started slandering the SEC, you were
I
like,
said,
I'm going to cancel my flight.
Yeah, I can't put up with this. I have to defend the honor of the South. I can't let that happen.
Yes.
All these Southwestern people taking shots at the SEC.
Where were you?
All right, when we come back on Three Man Front, that's enough of our dining segment of the show that we had planned about potato logs and wedges.
It's tater logs.
They are the same, by the way.
They are?
Are they?
I looked them up. Yeah, identical.
You sound like a Yankee, Pat. Tater log.
So it's like dressing and stuffing.
Essentially, yes.
Just depends on
I'm
what
still
part
going
of
to
the
call them
country.
wedges. It just feels weird saying, hey, can I have some of those logs? Like that just
Or you say
feels weird.
Missouri or Missouri.
Well, Missouri is the proper way to say it.
Edmonton.
Yeah. All those things.
Edmonton.
Brian Edwards will join us in about 15 minutes. We'll get his take on tonight's big games. If he likes either one of them, he's going to play any of them. And also Chris Stewart at the top of the hour. This is Three Man Front on Jocks 94.5. Welcome back into Three-Man Front. Been getting some pictures texted and tweeted into the show. Buddy Neil up in Moulton, Alabama, sent me a picture. They got 2 inches of snow up in Moulton. It's really pretty. It's going to be really cold now for the next couple of days.
Yep. Nothing here. It's not as pretty when we don't get it in other parts of the state.
Of course, you're about to go to Colorado, and you'll be like, what, knee-deep to a
Aw.
tall person of snow.
Maybe. No, there's a lot out there. A lot. But some of it's all packed. And it's not the fresh. Maybe we'll get some fresh.
They have people to take care of that.
They do.
Well, I told you a couple days ago that I got a call from Drew Lawley, who's the general manager over at Courtesy GMC in Trussville. And he said, hey, you need to stop by here. I want you to take a look at these Sierra AT4Xs. I know you've been talking about them on the air. We got this great deal going on right now, $11,000 off MSRP. But I want you to sit in this vehicle. I want you to look at this. And let me explain why this is such a special vehicle. Front and rear electronic locking differentials, a combination not offered in any competitor in its class. It's Multimatic DSSV dampers, AEV stamped steel front bumper with front winch capability, stamped boron steel front approached AEV skid plate. I can go on and on and on. It's just an incredible vehicle. And no other GMC dealership can offer you the deal that they have right now on these Sierra AT4Xs. As I mentioned before, $11,000 off MSRP. They've got multiple to choose from right now. You can go online at courtesybirmingham.com and you can look at all their inventory of the Sierra AT4Xs. And I want you to compare prices. I want you to make a mark of your bookmark on your website. You need to check out courtesybirmingham.com and then go to the other GMC dealers, not only in the state of Alabama, but the Florida Panhandle and the surrounding states. And you will not find a better price on the Sierra AT4X anywhere. Take advantage of this incredible deal. Go by and see Drew Lawley and the fine folks there at Courtesy GMC in Trussville, right off of I-459 exit 32. Matter of fact, when you're going up 2059, you can't miss Courtesy GMC right there on the right. Go by and see them or check them out at courtesybirmingham.com. Other SEC games last night. It was, I know everybody stayed up late for the LSU South Carolina game, right?
Absolutely. The bottom of the barrel bowl. That's what
Is that what you called it?
Yeah.
Don't look now, but LSU's won their last 2 games.
Whew.
Get ready. Carolina's now 0-13.
Well, they have momentum after re-signing their coach or keeping him there.
That is true. 81-67, the final there. But the game of the night was number 21 Mississippi State, and they made number 7 Texas A&M look very, very generic. They made them look like just a okay basketball team, and we all know that Texas A&M is a very good team. So this is the 5th win this year for Mississippi State against a top 25 opponent. That is the most in Mississippi State basketball history within one season. And we're talking about a Mississippi State program, despite the fact that Bart Heitch played on Mississippi State's team that year, they made it to the Final Four.
Yeah. I'm with you. I am with you.
Mississippi State is now, I love you, Bart. State is now 7-6 in SEC play, which is phenomenal. They have a 4-2 record on the road in the SEC. A&M had a 5-game winning streak stopped. Aggies are now 9-4 in conference play.
Well, it was Mississippi State. You say that they made them look very pedestrian. Talking about Texas A&M, you forced 19 turnovers, and you know how many steals that Mississippi State had as a team?
Oh, it was phenomenal.
17 steals.
Pretty good.
And you think about this, Texas A&M averages 71 points a game offensively. I mean, that's not like Mizzou averages 83 points a game. Alabama averages around 91 points a game. So they're not as prolific offensively, but you hold them down 17 points below their average. And like Landrum said, it was just a turnover city and steals. And it was just a very sloppy game. You could tell Buzz was very frustrated by the way his team prepared and the way they played.
Yeah, he had the lead at halftime. It was a 1-point lead, but
still the lead.
Yeah,
on the road.
That helps Mississippi State a good bit.
Very much so.
They needed that one.
Been a rough couple weeks for them.
Yeah, I love watching Josh Hubbard play, by the way.
He's good.
I know we talked about it after the Alabama game in Starkville, but man, he's so much fun to watch.
Well, it's interesting. I think it was John Rothstein. He nicknamed Chris Jans the dentist.
He looks like a dentist.
And the reason he named him the dentist, not only because he looks like a dentist,
Looks like a dentist.
but it's just the fact that when you play one of his teams, it's like going to the dentist
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
because they're absolutely going to make you
I
miserable.
was about to say they're always very physical.
So a big win by Mississippi State and poor Oklahoma. I mean, they're second guessing being in the SEC in football. Now they're second guessing themselves in basketball. I guess the only redeeming quality is that they've got a softball team that probably will run the table again.
Yeah, but no, they're rebuilding this year, Pat.
Oh, are they?
Yeah, we got an early preview.
All right, so Florida 85-63. The Gators made 12 three-pointers. They're now 23-3 overall, 10-3 in conference. Oklahoma, meanwhile, they've lost 5 games in a row. But 4 have been to ranked opponents,
They have the same SEC record now as LSU.
3-10.
The same record as LSU.
Again, maybe they continue to stay on that line, like one of the last 4 in, a Lenardi or some of these other cats. I just don't see it with that Oklahoma team.
They're done. They got to be done now.
Yeah.
You're 3-10 in conference play. How many games have they lost by 20-plus points in just league play?
It's been a good bit.
Been a few. Yeah. Certainly didn't open up SEC play well when you went to Alabama and got smoked, and it's just been downhill since then, pretty much.
All right, so tonight a reminder, 6 o'clock, you got Vandy at Kentucky. Kentucky's a 5-point favorite. 8 o'clock, you got Bama at Mizzou. Mizzou, a 1-point favorite. And you got Arkansas at Auburn. Auburn currently a 16-point favorite. When we come back on Three-Man Front, Brian Edwards from Vegas Insider, he will join the program. We've got Chris Stewart coming up at the top of the hour. Martin Newton in the 12 noon hour as we'll talk about the NCAA Selection Committee. All that straight ahead. Three-Man Front.
10:44, three-man front here on this Wednesday. Our resident handicapper, Brian Edwards, is going to join us momentarily. We'll talk about the big matchups tonight in Como, Missouri. Alabama on the road taking on the Missouri Tigers. 8 o'clock the tip there. Auburn at home at Neville Arena. 8 o'clock the tip there as they host the Arkansas Razorbacks. Tell you about them all the time. Mystic Beverage from Blount County, Alabama. MysticBeverage.com. That's the website. I love the Lift Blend. It features the CBD, the CBG, the Delta 9, and the green coffee bean extract. Sparkling water that's going to provide a boost both to your body and your mind. If you're looking for a different kind of vibe, the Nirvanic, the 25 milligram Delta 8, it's a smooth, calming experience, perfect for unwinding. They have the High Hills Delta 9 available in the 5 milligram and the 15 milligram for a balanced and elevated vibe. Whatever you're looking to achieve, mysticbeverage.com. You can find them at your local Piggly Wiggly, once again, right here from the state of Alabama, right there in Blount County. We appreciate our friends at Mystic Beverage, mysticbeverage.com for more information.
All right, joining us now on the Buyers Right hotlines, our good friend Brian Edwards from Vegas Insider, MajorWager.com, joins us every Wednesday on this program. Talk a little hoops tonight. Got a very interesting game. Let's start with the one in Como, Missouri. Oh, that's redundant. Should have just said Como, not Como, Missouri. It's like saying SEC Conference.
I did it yesterday. It's fine. Or saying the Ibaba basketball.
Yeah, you're being redundant. So I apologize, Brian. Let's start that segment over. Just rewind the tape. Ready? All right, here we go. Brian Edwards joins us now on the Buyers Ride Hotline. Brian Edwards from MajorWager.com. And, of course, Vegas Insider joins us. Brian, let's start with the first one in Como as Alabama's an underdog against the Missouri Tigers.
Yeah, so before I saw Cliff Amore was questionable on the SEC availability report, I made Alabama -1.5. I don't know that he really affects the spread, maybe a half point, if anything, because of his interior defense. But, man, these are both play-on teams to me. I'm not looking to go against either team. I slightly lean to the over just because, Alabama's always going to play high pace. It's 171, I think, at most books, or maybe 171 and a hook. I'm not going to play the side pregame. If, either team were to get out to a big lead, either side would interest me on a live line around +6 or better. I haven't played the over yet. I might, would like it to maybe move a little bit my way. I doubt it's going to do that, though. So it may be a pass altogether. Slight lean over. I'd be interested in either team at +6 or better on a live line.
All right, Brian, another game involving a team from our state, Auburn, hosting Arkansas, 8 o'clock tip there in Auburn, Alabama. Right now, currently, Auburn, a 16-point favorite over Coach Cal and the Hogs, the over-under at 151. Do you have a side or a total that you're favoring?
Well, I made Auburn 14. Arkansas is obviously playing a lot better. But I just don't know that I can get there with a play on Arkansas at 16. If it were to go higher, I might consider a very small play on Arkansas. They are playing, like I said, much better, 4-1 against the spread in their last 5. But the closing line for A&M was 7.5 the other day. But that could have been a winner for Arkansas backers. It was 8.5 on Friday and early Saturday, or a push. So. Arkansas playing better ball. I lean their way, but I'm not really looking to fade Auburn right now. So unless it gets to 17, I'll probably be a pass on that one.
Okay, so so far the two games involving Alabama and Auburn tonight. Right now, leaning pass on both. Correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Correct.
All right. There's a 5:30 tip off. I love these early tip off games. Love them. We got Nebraska at Penn State. Nebraska had to come from behind the other day against Northwestern. It was looking ugly, but the Cornhuskers come back and they get the W. Do you like a money line play here, either side, whether it's Penn State or Nebraska? Who you like?
Yeah, so I got Nebraska +1.5 last night, but now it's moved to it was 1.5 like 10 minutes ago. Looks like it's 2 in a lot of places now.
Oh, okay.
So you might not be able to get a money line. If I was going to say money line, it's -125 or cheaper. But I'm okay with Nebraska at -2. They've won 5 of their last 6, but straight up and against the spread, including 3 road wins in a row at Oregon, at Washington, and at Northwestern. But really, more than anything, this is going against Penn State, which has lost 7 in a row, has failed to cover in 5 straight. They've lost 11 of their last 12 outright, including 4 losses by 19 or more.
Wow.
So last night when I was writing it up for Vegas Insider, Penn State was the favorite, and they were 1-7 against the spread, was 4 outright losses. Last 8 as the favorite, but they're the underdog now, so that doesn't matter. But give me Nebraska.
All right, another game. This is a real gem out of the ACC. You got Miami, a team that is 6-19 overall, one of your darlings this season, taking on a 15-10 Florida State team. Miami +8, +8.5, depending on where you look. Where are you leaning, Brian?
Scrub games pay the same, gentlemen. They all pay the same.
Right. So we're not fading Miami anymore, right? I took that advice earlier this year.
Yeah, so I was calling them the auto fade Canes, 3 to 6 weeks ago, and they were auto fade, and they made me a lot of money going against them. I actually backed them for the first time Saturday at Pitt, because Pitt is on the fade list now, and I won with Miami. They've actually covered 4 straight and 5 of 6, and they have covered in 3 straight road games. And FSU is 2-5, but straight up in ATS in its last 7. Plenty of tickets available in Tallahassee, where FSU lost 72-46 at home.
I bet.
To Clemson on Saturday. The Noles are 1-3, but straight up in ATS. Their last 4 is a favorite. Give me the squad formerly dubbed the Auto Fade Canes, but no longer dubbed that.
Okay, so I want to ask you about Boise State and New Mexico. So Boise is a slight lean, I think, 2.5, something like that right now. I know that this one that might not be off of top of everyone's mindset going into tonight's action, but I think you believe that there's an opportunity there to make a little money.
Well, it's a televised game at 10 p.m. Eastern, so it might be at the top of people's minds later tonight.
That's
we shall
true.
See, but I got Boise State -2.5 last night. It has moved to 4.5 because John Rothstein tweeted, well, what some of us already knew, but 2 of New Mexico's starters are game time decisions or questionable. One of them left the game Sunday with a concussion, so I doubt he plays. But the other one, I think, he's got a pretty good chance of playing. So basically, I don't really like Boise at 4.5 anymore. Unless both of these guys are out, then I would like it, but we may not know that until 10 minutes before tip. I would like Boise, regardless of if they play or not, in a money line parlay, if you got other money line parlay pieces working. So I'll just leave it at that. Actually, I'll tell you who you could money line and parlay it with. It's SMU. Now, SMU, I've already played them for a little. Their leading scorer is questionable, Boopy Miller, but he only averages 13.9. They've got a bunch of guys that average like between 8 and 13. So I went ahead and played SMU. -1.5 at Notre Dame. But if Miller, their leading scorer, is upgraded, then SMU will be a pretty big play for me. Notre Dame is on the fade list. They failed to cover 6 in a row. Had Louisville at Notre Dame on Sunday, and it was a blowout from start to finish. So SMU, you could parlay that money line with Boise State if you want. There you go.
I'm not questioning you, but did you see the emotion that came from Notre Dame's coach, Michael Shrewsbury?
You better write
his press conference.
Write the date down.
I did. I don't think his presser is going to have the Mick Cronin effect. You know, Cronin had those pressers in mid-January bitching about the travel, and then UCLA ripped off 7 straight wins. And
he was back at it last night. Yeah,
I need to go watch it.
No, it was another good one last night. Yeah, it was good.
I got to go watch it.
All right.
I was watching the game. They were 5 of 15 from the free throw line in the second half.
Yeah, they were awful.
17.3.
No, they were terrible. All right, so let me ask you this: you don't, I mean, you kind of give me and Landrum kind of a heads up before you come on, and these are kind of the games that you're looking at. But I have been taking your advice, and I really appreciate it about the Summit League. I know a lot of people don't play not a lot of people play the Summit League, but I have been riding your coattails, my friend. Omaha is a machine when it comes to the over. So give me some Summit League action. I need to make some easy money.
Yeah. All right. So Omaha at Kansas City tonight. And I like
Yes.
it. I got over 142.5, but it's 144 now. The over's hitting 3 straight for Omaha, but it's 7-1 and 11-3 runs to the over for the Mavericks. And this is their lowest total since January 8th. 9 of the last 10 games for Omaha have had 147 combined or more, and their games average combined scores of 152.8. And Kansas City's last 3 games have had 151, 149, and 150. Why is this total only 144? Let's go over. And then the other one, I don't like it as much because it's so jacked up high. South Dakota and St. Thomas of Minnesota.
Yes.
It's 170. It's 176. But I still played it over because they bet earlier this year. It was 119 to 104 for 223 combined. And St. Thomas, the over is 17-6-1 overall. They've got some shooters. They're second in the nation in field goal percentage, 4th in three-point accuracy, 6th in scoring, 16th in free throw percentage. And South Dakota, second in the country in pace. And Ken Palm ranks them 347 out of 364 D1 teams in defensive efficiency. So over St. Thomas, Minnesota, and South Dakota over 176, and Omaha and KC over 144.
Okay, so who did St. Thomas play somebody this weekend that you played?
Yes.
Yeah, because
Yes.
I took your
I think
advice.
they played Omaha. It might have been Omaha. And
Yeah.
they went over.
Because I had to look up where St. Thomas was. Like I did not
MN,
know. I did not.
in parentheses, kind of like Miami OH in parentheses.
So it was St. Thomas, Minnesota, right?
Correct.
Caribbean.
It would make a lot of sense.
That's what
I
I
had
was
to look
thinking.
that up a year or 2 ago as well.
Their mascot is the Tommies.
The
They're
Tommies?
the St. Thomas Tommies.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay, is that like the Tommy gun? Is that
No,
like?
don't know.
no. It's a predator indigenous to that part of the country.
Oh, okay. Well, I just learned
Is
something.
it really?
Lock your door. Lock your door. Tommy's, they're all around us.
All right. Before we let you go, you have been on a heater, my friend. You are 31-9 in the NBA since the start of January. A 40-21 run in college hoops in the last 30 days. Give me some more. Give me some NBA action.
All right, Hawks. At last look, I posted the play on Monday because Thursday's lines are already out. It's not till tomorrow. But Hawks plus 1.5 at home to Orlando. They just beat Orlando 112-106 down in Orlando before the All-Star break. Hawks have covered in 7 straight. So Hawks tomorrow.
Okay.
Hey, quickly, we got USA and Canada tomorrow night. Who do you like?
You taking Canada in the goals?
No opinion. Pass.
Oh, man. By the way, the Tommies, Molly just pulled it up. It's a tomcat. It's a big old tomcat.
I'm about to Google it myself.
Wow. Well, I know I can tell these segments have changed. Landry, remember during the football season,
Yep.
Brian was always depressed. Now because he's got the number 2 basketball team in America, he's getting all cocky.
Who is going to beat the Gators, gentlemen? Who in the world is going to beat Florida?
Well, they got to go to Coleman Coliseum. Just get ready.
This is true.
All right, Brian. Have a great week, man. We'll talk to you next week.
Thanks, guys. See ya.
Welcome back in. It's hour number 2 of Three Man Front. Pat, Landrum, Conrad, Molly. Appreciate Brian Edwards joins us each and every Wednesday on the program. If you missed that segment, gave you some great investment opportunities for tonight and the weekend. You can download the Three Man Front podcast and listen to the interview in its entirety. We are trying to catch up with Chris Stewart. Needless to say, he is traveling, but we're hoping to have him on momentarily as his broadcast crew gets ready to go to Columbia, Missouri. That part of the world, just like North Alabama, got some heavy snow. I think Springfield, Missouri, and portions of Missouri got over a foot of snow over the last 24 hours. So it has been kind of a mess in that part of the world. So hopefully we will catch up with Chris, brought to you each and every week by our good friends at Craneworks. The Courtesy GMC text line is open at 205-834-9450.
A lot of different texts coming in, as always. We always appreciate your texts, your best way to interact with the show. And JJ says, good morning. Well, good morning to you, JJ. Thanks for listening, wherever you may be. One of our listeners said, take Arkansas plus 16.5 all day. All right. Gavin says the main roads in Huntsville were fine driving into work this morning. That's good news. Apparently, Cherry Bowden did an interview with Feinbaum last year. Do you remember that?
I do not.
Going back to KFC overseas. Spent a month in China adopting our son. They had KFC, Pizza Hut, and McDonald's all over the place. And it tasted just like home. Thank you, Stephen from Leeds. Posey says Lee's Chicken is still in Jasper.
Love it.
It's still got a Lee's.
That was our go-to place in college because it was inexpensive. You got plenty of food, and it was very good.
They still have a Mrs. Winters?
I don't think so. You know, for a while, there was a combination restaurant of Mrs. Winters and Lee's. I think before both of those.
Lee's Winters. I don't know. Speaking of KFC, the Colonel was only 180 votes away from being elected as a U.S. Senator? David Hoover. Did you know that?
Who?
The Colonel was 180 votes away.
Really? From being a state senator or a U.S. senator from Kentucky?
U.S. Senator.
Okay.
Well, it says U.S. Senator, but I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt that he was driving.
Right.
Johnny says, yep, still a Lee's Chicken in Jasper, and it's legit. And Josh says that Lee's is the best. We have one in Jasper. Had it yesterday. They also have the best chicken livers on the planet.
How about that?
And apparently KFC, owned by PepsiCo and Frito-Lay, and their headquarters pattern in Plano, Texas.
Right.
So that makes a lot of sense.
Yep. Joining us now on the Buyers Right Hotline, I can't wait to hear his travel itinerary of getting to Columbia, Missouri each and every week. Brought to you by Craneworks, voice of the Alabama Crimson Tide, Chris Stewart.
And Chris joins us, as all of our guests do, on the Buyers Right Hotline. Chris, hope all is well. Travel was great, I'm assuming, in the trip to Como.
Gentlemen, it was a good trip. Yeah, believe it or not. Flew in, and you don't get to see snow very often, and wasn't excited about seeing it, that's for sure. But it was pretty flight in. Landed on snow or in the snow, not enough that it was a problem, but I think we got about 3 or more inches here in Columbia. It is beyond cold. It was 0 this morning, just as the main weather, and then the wind chill was well below 0, but it was sun shining and all should be good for tonight.
Take us through the day to day, just around the hotel. I'm sure they got meetings, they got other things that the players will do. But will there be a shoot around? Will there be an opportunity to go to the arena later on today? Kind of take us through the day and pull back the curtain behind the scenes for our listeners.
Yeah, the team has actually just finished breakfast and a little film study, and they're headed to shoot around right now, and then they'll come back and relax a little bit, get off their feet, and pregame meal, and then go to work. But it's it's mapped out, and it's all mapped out with a plan to either make sure that they're rested or they're involved in actual meetings or actual application on the court of what they've seen in film study and in meetings. And there is a plan for all of it. It was kind of interesting and just hearing, after Coach went through some things with the team to hear, strength coach go through, hey, don't forget, the importance of the rest, the importance of eating what you need to eat beforehand. And again, they'll have the meal and all of that, but he said, the on the floor part is important, but don't forget what you need to do for your body to get yourself in the best position to play tonight. And those are all things that you get a chance to experience and be around when you travel with the team that you may not get an opportunity otherwise. And seeing game plan and scout and all of those things are very interesting.
Chris, I want to take you back to Saturday. Just the environment, the atmosphere at Coleman Coliseum is something we have not seen in the state of Alabama when it comes to basketball. Two very talented teams. But from the Alabama perspective, what was the most shocking thing of that result, of where you thought Alabama would take the opportunity to maybe take it to Auburn a little bit, but unfortunately they fell short? Was there one specific area that shocked you the most?
I look back at the stats and you look and you see the fact that this team, only turned it over 7 times, which has been an issue, unfortunately. But, the reality is turnovers have been a problem. But you turn it over only 7 times. But and I brought that up to Coach in the post game. He goes, "That's true." He goes, "But we still turned it over almost twice as much as they did because they only forced 4 turnovers." Think about this, guys. 2 teams executing at the level they did offensively. And when I say executing, I mean the final score. And yet, you don't turn it over very often. That in that regard, it was well played. Bama did not shoot it well, shot it terribly. And I've heard some inaccurate and ignorant statements about, well, you live by the 3, you die by the 3. That's not what Alabama does. I mean, the 3 is obviously a major part of what they do. You can't make only 5 threes and shoot, I guess, 19% from 3 if you also shoot sub 50% at the rim. And that was the issue. I mean, if you either make layups or you make a couple of more threes, you probably have a better chance of winning the ball game. Frankly, probably did. That's the reality of it. This is something I think they want to play more efficiently. They probably got a little stagnant in what they were doing offensively, and so much of that belongs to Auburn. They're terrific. They're every bit as good as advertised and played well, and frankly did some positive things. It's hard to say that there's anything that's out of character for them that would be a positive, because they've been so good. But even though they've been steady from 3-point range, to come out and make what they did early, with Alabama being off of its game offensively, I mean, heck, you've got a fever pitch in that building. Everything's ready to go. And then the visitors get up 9-0. And now you're having to play catch up. And they did, but then you give up 6 points in I think a 9-0 run at the end of the half to then go for a 6-0 run to go back down 9 again. And you just put yourself in a catch up mode. And they did with 6.5 minutes to go. But again, Auburn's so solid, such a veteran team, and played with so much poise themselves that once Bama tied it at 65 and then tied it again at 68, they never let us catch up again and kept Alabama at arm's length. And again, that's disappointing on Alabama's end that you don't do the things defensively that you need to do. You didn't execute fully the way you needed to offensively. But it's also a tip of the hat to the other side because it didn't just randomly happen. That's what Auburn is. That's what Auburn does. And Alabama was not at their best, which they were going to need to be in order to win the game.
Chris, you mentioned Coleman being at a fever pitch on Saturday. We had Charlie Potter, who's covered Alabama for a good many of years. He said, I've seen a lot of big games in there, but Mark Sears, that three that he hit in the second half was the loudest eruption of an Alabama crowd I've ever heard inside of Coleman Coliseum. Kind of describe it. You've got the headsets on, but some of that crowd noise is bleeding through your microphone and through your headset.
Sure.
What was it like for you?
It was great. I mean, the whole atmosphere for basketball, period. We're disappointed, obviously, very much so that didn't get the win, but it was so it was such a great week. I mean, guys, you saw it the same as I did. Every time you're watching a game on ESPN, the promos all deal with what leads up to the Alabama-Auburn basketball game. We're used to that with the Iron Bowl. That happens with the football side of it. But when you have the first time in SEC history a 1 versus 2 matchup or 1 versus 1 at the time, however you want to phrase it, it was as big as it gets in a regular season game where there's not ladders and scissors in the building to where you're going to cut down nets. Now, the reality is if we are able to take care of business and Auburn does as well, then the game at Auburn is going to have the same writing on it. This is still, you can't win the league outright. Well, let me back off. I apologize. If both teams win out, you can't win the league outright. Certainly there's a lot of things that can happen between now and then where either Alabama's not in the mix at all, or they could have the lead by the time we go into it. But the truth is, while this was a major matchup and huge from both a national and a state perspective, it's not going to be the last important meeting between these two clubs. There's at least 1 and potentially 4 total games when the season's over with. Not 4 more matchups, but 4 total meetings over the course of the season. So it was a great day. It was a really, really good day that had the potential to be great. If you're a Bama fan, if you're an Auburn fan, it was great all the way around. I'm excited that basketball's meaningful again. I told Bruce that after the game. And look, we know what Nate has meant for this run with Alabama, but Bruce's arrival, I think, changed the narrative. Alabama-Auburn's it's going to be a rivalry regardless of who's coaching the teams. But, for there to be a good guy, you got to have a villain. And I'm not by any stretch saying Bruce is a bad guy, but in this regard, he's the perfect villain for Alabama fans, and Nate's the perfect villain for Auburn fans. And the rivalry has got meaningful games, coaches that are not only great at what they do from a strategy and a motivation standpoint, but they play the villain role for the opposition very, very well. They are respectful of and to both sides, but it's fun, guys. I mean, it means something now. There was a game back in 2013 that I'll never forget. We we walked out of there losing 49-37, and I remember Rod Bramlett was still with us at the time, and I remember patting him on the shoulder as we left, and I looked at him, and I kind of in a questioning look on my face said, "Congratulations." And he said, "Man, it was just a pillow fight, and y'all happened to catch us with a zipper." Or we caught y'all with the zipper because they beat us. And that's true. I mean, there was no pride really on their side of winning, other than you didn't lose to your opponent. It was a rough time for both programs, but now we're in complete opposite situations where both are elite. Both are probably, if we don't fall apart either side, going to be number one seeds in the NCAA tournament. It's great for you guys. Look, I know I've done what you guys do on a daily basis, and there is nothing tougher than trying the easiest things that you guys do in your profession. As much work is involved, but the easiest time is from the beginning of August until the national championship game takes place. Where it's a challenge is from a week after the national championship until the start of spring practice, and then spring practice into spring practice until August again. If your basketball teams are not relevant, and you guys get a chance to, not that you don't reference football, and we understand that you should, you will, and you should, but you've got meaningful basketball to talk about on a local basis. And it's not just Alabama and Auburn, even though we're leading the charge, but you got teams all around the state at different levels that are good. That's good for everybody. And I'm excited that we still got a chance to win all of the championships that we desire to win at Alabama. Unfortunately, we just lost the first matchup to our biggest rival.
That is Chris Stewart. He will be on the call tonight in Columbia, Missouri, as the Alabama Crimson Tide tries to right the ship after that tough loss against the number one team in America, Auburn, at home. Chris, each and every week, our friends at Craneworks gives us an opportunity to catch up with you.
Yeah, we talked about it. You just got to, from a basketball standpoint, you got to get rid of the trash in your mind after a loss. And if you're trying to get rid of the trash at your home or your business, then you want to call on Wasteworks. How about that setup?
Boom.
It's
That was great.
Craneworks company. Thank you very much. Wasteworks provides roll-off dumpster rentals in the Birmingham area. They got a range of sizes and fast service. They are your local source for dumpster rentals. Visit wasteworksusa.com for a quote. Throw that loss in the dumpster and have it hauled off. That's what you need to do, and that's hopefully what Bama will do tonight.
Well, have a great call tonight, Chris, and safe travels back to the wonderful state of Alabama. We'll talk to you next week.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate you.
Appreciate that very much. That is Chris Stewart, brought to you by Craneworks. He joined us on the Buyers Right hotline for all your insurance, financial, and HR needs. It's Buyers Right Insurance, a Higginbotham partner.
Well, if you want to watch the Tide in Missouri tonight, you want to watch Auburn and Arkansas, chances are you can't get a ticket to Level Arena, the 66th straight sellout. UAB is on the road at Rice there in Houston. You can watch them all of the action and other college basketball, the NBA as well, if you're into that. At Rambler Sports Bar and Grill, they have the 283-inch projector screen, all the video boards. It's a upscale way to enjoy sports, an award-winning menu. And by the way, they're open for lunch, and to make it easy, you got free parking. They'll validate your parking. That's not going to be an issue there at Rambler Sports Bar and Grill at 2nd Avenue South, 1630 2nd Avenue South to be exact, near Railroad Park. You can go and have a drive-through lunch, but get in there for happy hour leading up to the tip-off of all tonight's college basketball action. It's Rambler Sports Bar and Grill. Take my word for it. It is an awesome experience and the best way to consume sports action all season long. Rambler Sports Bar and Grill, 1630 2nd Avenue South at the Finnick near Railroad Park. You can check them out today. We'll continue some of the takeaways, what Chris had to tell us, some of the other games that have taken place in the SEC last night, and a big night tonight, what that could mean. Three-man front here on this Wednesday on Jocks 94.5. 11:23. It's just one of our favorite songs that we share. That's why we're so long and just appreciating the music.
Aha. I see what you did there.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see what I did there?
I did.
Aha.
Yeah. Great visit with Chris Stewart there from Como.
Very much so.
Missouri, a slight favorite in this game.
Glad he made it up there safely. Bad weather all over the place. Hopefully they can get home safely. The net update that came out this morning, no movement from Auburn, number 1. Florida is number 4. Tennessee 5. Alabama 6. Kentucky is 14. Mizzou is 15 in the net. Right now, Alabama, I know everyone is concerned about the WAB. They're still number 2, Conrad, so you don't have to worry about that. That will be one of the questions that we'll ask Martin Newton, the Sanford AD, who is part of the the NCAA selection committee. Maybe he can give us a more well-defined definition of WAB.
Maybe we're going to find out it's the most important metric now.
Maybe.
Over the net rankings.
Is there another metric that they're thinking about adding?
I hope so. I just hope it has a fun acronym. That should be the rule. If you're going to add a new stat, it has to have a fun acronym to say. Because there's already so many stats.
What about a UR, ugly uniform rating?
That's a good one. I like that.
That's good. Texas A&M would have been off the charts the other night.
Mm-hmm. If you're wearing what is this team when playing in an ugly uniform?
It was so confusing last night watching them in Mississippi State play because both of them are Adidas schools.
Mm-hmm.
And you had Texas A&M basically wear that same color over the weekend in their ugly uniforms. Mississippi State was wearing that color, and then A&M was wearing maroon. It was just...
It's always weird when you have two teams that are playing. It's like the person we had, I guess, a couple weeks ago when Houston was wearing the blue uniforms, and they're just like, what's going on here? Like, they're playing Texas Tech. They're playing at Houston. The arena's red. Texas Tech's wearing red. And so if you don't know what you're looking for, it's just it's confusing.
So we brought this up earlier. So Mike DeCourcy, who is one of a million bracketologists out there, and I've known Mike for a long time. Mike used to work at the Sporting News, and now he works for the Big Ten Network and Fox Network. And so he put out his bracketology today. And we were talking about Auburn earlier in regards to, on Auburn's side of things, they would play Southern or Quinnipiac as the first round game. They would get the winner of Purdue, Chattanooga. And on the other end would be Mizzou, McNeese, Illinois, or San Diego State. So that's who the potential teams that they would play. Meanwhile, in the Midwest bracket, he still has Alabama as a number 1 seed. They would play Cleveland State. Then they would get the winner of Wisconsin and Towson. And I'm just telling you right now, and I know we've still got a few weeks before you get to a tournament atmosphere in the conference tournaments, but Wisconsin's playing really good basketball right now. And if I'm Alabama, I would not want to see Wisconsin in the second round. I'm just telling you. They are trending in the right direction at the right time, and they've got a really good coach, and they got a lot of dudes that can shoot from the outside.
I feel like this year you're going to have, Wisconsin's a great example of that. We were talking a little bit before the show about Kansas. I just have a feeling this year you're going to have some teams that are 7, 8, 9 seeds in the NCAA tournament that you look at and you're like, man, if they're playing their best game, they could beat anybody in the tournament.
I mean, Landrum, you've got it pulled up. It's interesting because in my opinion, correct me if you think I'm wrong here, but according to DeCourcy, as I mentioned, Alabama, Cleveland State in round 1, they would get the winner of Wisconsin and Towson, which obviously Wisconsin's going to win that game. And then below that, it's Kansas, Yale, Oregon, Texas. Now, I know Oregon beat Alabama earlier this year, but if you get past Wisconsin, I think you got a pretty good run in store for you there.
Yeah, Kansas. If you watched Kansas last night, that was absolutely terrible. And right now, they're sitting on the 5 line. Yale, that's a potential 12-5 matchup. If that did happen, that I think you would get some Yale votes. Some people writing in Yale in their bracket. Oregon and Texas, that would be the rematch that I think that either one of those teams probably bodes pretty well for Alabama if they face them. So, yeah, that side of the bracket does not look overly daunting on the surface.
But then you get to the other side, who is also in the Midwest. That's where things get interesting because as of right now, DeCourcy's got Michigan State as a 4 seed.
That's interesting to see them there. Memphis out of the American is a 6 seed. Now, Memphis is one of those teams.
Mhm.
Depends on which Memphis you're going to get. You're going to get Haggerty and some of those other cats shooting at.
You remember Cisse? He now plays
Yeah.
for Memphis.
45, 50%. They got Danga there down low, but they're Jekyll and Hyde. So which Memphis team do you get that night? And then potentially you got Creighton and Gonzaga. Mike does as an 8-9, and then Houston sitting there at the top.
I mean, to me, that side of the bracket is really.
That's a really.
Gonzaga and Creighton is an 8-9 matchup?
Yes.
I mean, that's.
Well, how about this? We just skipped over Arkansas State. Michigan State, Arkansas State, the 13-4 matchup, the 4-13.
Hodgson's done a good job there with Arkansas State.
Yeah, he has.
So it's interesting because that side of Alabama's bracket, you believe that if you got past Wisconsin, then all of a sudden, you're in pretty good shape. But man, you look at the other side that you would have to play once you get out of your side of the bracket. You're either going to play Houston. I mean, just looking at the chalk, it would either be Houston, Michigan State, Memphis, or Creighton Gonzaga winner.
Yeah, I guess maybe you're hoping for Creighton to go on a little bit of a run because you've already faced them and knocked them off this year. But yeah, Houston rematch, that would be fun. But yeah, I don't know if that's a team you really want to play in the Final Four if you don't have to.
So it is fun to go ahead and start looking at these brackets.
Florida
the
potentially
what-ifs.
there in the West. How do you feel about that bracket? You got Florida taking on Omaha or American. I think we know that's going to be Omaha.
Well, Texas Tech in round 2.
Potentially.
That would be interesting. Maryland is a sneaky good team. I've watched Maryland over the course of the last couple of weeks. They're
good.
They're good. They got some post players and they shoot the ball well, play good defense. Maryland could be a team. And of course, DeCourcy still has Oklahoma in his bracket.
Yeah, I would go ahead and take them off.
As an 11 seed.
Yeah, I was about to say, I couldn't believe they were still in before the game last night. Now, definitely can't have them in there.
But Iowa State's over there, that Iowa State team.
They had that rough stretch where they lost 3 in a row, but outside of that, they've been.
I would
they've been
pray if this works out. DeCourcy's got. Do you see who he's got? He's got UCLA and Oklahoma, and the winner of that game would play the winner of St. Mary's and UConn. I would.
Dan Hurley and Mick Cronin.
Oh my gosh, that would be absolute gold. When we come back on 3-Man Front, we're going to play what Mick Cronin said last night. It is just classic Mick Cronin. If you thought Hurley was bad at these press conferences, just wait till you get a load of what he said last night after an embarrassing loss to Minnesota at historic Pauley Pavilion. That's next on 3-Man Front. Don't forget, you can hear the Auburn Tigers right here on Jocks 94.5 tonight as they take on the Arkansas Razorbacks in Neville Arena, the number one team in America. We'll see if they can continue their hot play against the Hogs. Well, one team for sure has had some issues as of late. Now, I'm talking about UCLA. Now, the Bruins have played okay basketball, but last night what took place at Pauley Pavilion, it upset a lot of folks. So last evening, he was going for his 500th career win against Minnesota. Minnesota, if you don't follow the Big Ten in basketball, they're the 13th place team, and they're on the road, and they were a 12-point underdog to UCLA. So 5 minutes to go until intermission. Things were looking good for the Bruins. They were up by 17.
Not bad.
So you played 15 minutes of basketball on your home court, and you're a 12-point favorite, and you have a 17-point lead against the 13th place Minnesota Golden Gophers.
Probably feel like you're in a pretty good spot there.
Okay, well, at halftime, Minnesota, they're able to chip it away. They get it to 11. So UCLA goes into the break up by 11 points. But in the second half, Mick Cronin's team allowed Gopher leading scorer Dawson Garcia. He goes for 27 points in the second half. And it didn't help. You heard Brian Edwards earlier in the show talk about it. They went 5 of 15 from the free throw line. UCLA did in the second half.
Minnesota shot 13 free throws last night. Garcia shot 12 of those 13 free throws.
So the Gophers pulled the upset. UCLA now falls to 6th place in the Big Ten. So an always joyful Mick Cronin met with the media after his team's loss.
Hugely disappointing effort. And if I say anything, then I throw players under the bus. So here's what. We didn't play well. We're poorly coached. That's why we don't play well. So it's all on me. I've been doing this a long time. I know when my team's mind is on the wrong stuff. Our crowd's mind is on the wrong stuff. Our crowd make it worse when a guy misses a free throw. The stress in Paulie is crazy when a guy, the guy's not trying. How about help the guy? How about cheer for the guy? It's not like he's trying to miss the free throw. That just makes it worse. Everybody's worried about the wrong stuff.
Do you think there's an element of exhaustion at this point?
No, absolutely not. Exhausted from what? Exhausted from, I appreciate the question, my friend, but no. Exhausted from what? From what? We're off Sunday, and we were off Saturday. We had 2 days. What are we exhausted? Were they exhausted? Were they exhausted? No. Toughness wins.
So
I have a hard time, Pat. I don't know whether to like him or not like him.
And it's just the way that he opens it up by saying, well, if I say anything about the players, I'm throwing them under the bus. It's like when you tell somebody, hey, no offense, and then you proceed to say something that's offensive to them, right? It takes away all the goodwill. If you had just come out and said, hey, poor coaching, this is on me, right? I've got to be better. I've got to get my guys ready to play. But when you preface it with, oh, well, I know y'all are going to take this out of context or use it against me, it just makes you look like an ass.
But going and attacking the fans for groaning on missed free throws.
Talk about the pressure of Pauley Pavilion and people.
They're not booing, they're groaning. Encourage them.
Don't shoot 47% from the charity stripe.
I know that's a proud program, but all of those words are lost on that fan base.
It's amazing because if you think back about a month ago, he was belly aching about going and playing on this side of the Rocky Mountains.
Because they had seen the Statue of Liberty twice in the last week or whatever.
Yeah. Listen, if you're a Minnesota basketball player, would you not want to get out of the deep freeze of Minneapolis, St. Paul, Minnesota?
That would be great.
And go to Westwood, California and play a basketball game? That'd fire me up. I definitely think the advantage for those teams going west is absolutely the complete opposite of USC and UCLA having to go to snow-covered cornfields in Iowa to try to play a basketball game. Kind of tough to get fired up over that.
Mm-hmm.
Probably don't even have the heat on in their locker room. Seriously. Some of those old barns that they play in the Big Ten.
I was about to say, that's what I would do. Just freeze them out in the visiting locker room.
We see what teams do in football on the visiting locker room.
Oh, yeah.
How bad they are. How, you've heard Kirby Smart talking about. I mean, Bill Clark was telling me and Landrum some horror stories about visiting locker rooms and having to bring your own air conditioning units and all that kind of stuff. Didn't Georgia do that last year or the year before when they played at Auburn? Didn't they bring their own mobile air conditioning units?
Yeah.
And sit outside the locker room?
Maybe they did. I think Alabama did it when they played out in College Station several years ago. Saban had them bring those out there. But yeah, that's.
Somebody brought heated benches for one game that they had on the sideline. I can't remember.
Well, see, now I think supposedly that, if I'm not mistaken, I think the SEC now has a deal with that manufacturer.
Oh, of those, heated.
They have the heat, and they also now have the overhangs, that provides the shade.
I saw that at a high school football stadium. Actually, it was down in Saraland. Their bench area, it was more like you would get in some of the professional soccer stadiums.
If I'm not mistaken,
it's good to see Ryan Williams giving back.
That.
Yeah, he's deferring some of that NIL money.
That's right.
I think Thompson has that too on their sideline.
Yeah, but you got the little overhang. Yeah. So if they want to go and sit on the bench, then it would keep them out of the elements. And
yeah,
I guess that's what that's for.
I mean, listen, nice. UCLA's in a good spot right now. They're 6th in the Big Ten. Now, keep in mind, not all teams make the Big Ten tournament. And I think that was the other thing that he was kind of belly aching about last night was the fact that Minnesota is a team that, as of I think yesterday, was not in the tournament. And he says that Minnesota is the oldest team in college basketball.
I think he's right.
Oh, just in terms of average age of their roster?
Yes.
I was going back. Man, are they the oldest program?
1776.
In the history of basketball?
They didn't have anybody to play, but
he was talking about that these guys are maybe playing close to playing their final basketball in their entire life. And so they're playing with a little bit more purpose.
Well, they're 14 and 12, so.
Unless they can find a JUCO year.
Excuse. Oh, I'm sure they'll find something.
Yeah, there'll be a lawsuit.
Got a bunch of Diego Pavias up there.
Mm-hmm.
So Mick Cronin, I don't know what his buyout is. I should have looked that up yesterday when we were talking about it.
I know he's making over $4 million this year.
Remember, it was between he and Rick Barnes before Barnes signed that new deal. UCLA when that job came open, it was going to be Rick Barnes, Mick Cronin, and I'm trying to remember who else's name. There's another prominent name that was in the mix.
Well, if you remember, he was on the hot seat before they went on that incredible run. Remember when they knocked off Alabama?
They went to the Final Four.
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, they had to play in the first 4 game.
Everywhere he's been, he's taken his teams to the tournament. Murray State, where he got started. Then when he goes back to his alma mater at Cincinnati, had several really good runs at Cincinnati, and then the Final Four the other year that we had. What was that year? That would have been year 2 at UCLA, season 2.
Was that the pandemic year?
Sounds right.
Yeah.
It sounds like it was right about then. Okay, so Mick Cronin, his buyout. So if it's before March 31st of this year, $16 million. If they were to wait until after March 31st, it's $10 million.
Okay.
So.
It's got a good agent.
It's a lot of money for a grumpy guy.
Sure is.
What's his age?
I'm just guessing. I'm going to say 57.
Wow, he was born in 71.
Okay, he's 54.
Yeah.
Actually, younger than I thought he was.
What's that bald head?
I was about to say all that stress must age you a little bit out there in California.
That smog and traffic.
So Michael Casagrande had an interesting stat, Conrad, that he shared on Twitter not too long ago about the television viewership of the IBOB.
Yes. So television numbers have come out, and so we had an average of 2.8 million viewers on ESPN for the IBOB. The game peaked at 3.5 million viewers, and so it is the most watched college basketball game that ESPN has aired the entire season.
And it's pretty interesting because I tweeted out the comparison to college football. Do you realize that number of 2.8 million, and you said it spiked at what, 3.3, 3.5? 3.5 million. That would not even rank as one of the top 100 college football games of this previous season. That just shows you how dominant college football viewership is in this country. There were more people watching Penn State and West Virginia. There were more people watching Nebraska and USC. There were more people watching Michigan and Illinois. More people watching Nebraska and Indiana. More people watched Colorado State than they did the Alabama-Auburn basketball game.
And that's why when we talk about revenue sharing and while basketball gets the, I guess, second biggest piece of the pie, there's a reason it's not like a 40% split between football and basketball, right? Because as great as basketball is, it's still not bringing in those dollars and those eyeballs.
No, but that's still an incredible number for a basketball game. That goes without saying. I know my buddies at Golston Tree Service, they have been down at Lake Martin. They've also been in Metro Birmingham. They have been dealing with a lot of downed trees, and you need to call them at 205-337-4018. They have a certified arborist that runs the company, and he can come to your house. Call him, 205-337-4018, and he can assess an issue that you potentially will have. So when these bad storms do come through the area, then all of a sudden you're not going to be shocked to find out that you should have cut that tree down. So call Golston Tree Service today. From the smallest jobs to the largest jobs, they can take care of it. Make sure you go ahead and give them a call at 205-337-4018. And on top of that, they do have the 24 hours emergency storm service. Call them today, 205-337-4018. That is Golston Tree Service. Top of the hour, Martin Newton will join us, AD at Samford University, also a member of the NCAA Men's Basketball Selection Committee. All that next on Three Man Front. It is 10 minutes in front of the hour. Martin Newton, the Sanford AD, member of the NCAA Men's Basketball Selection Committee. He is going to join us coming up at the top of the hour.
Well, let me tell you about my friends over there at Easy Hemp Company, because Easy is a refreshing new beverage that's reliably microdosed with 3 milligrams of D9 THC and 3 milligrams of CBD per serving. It's also non-alcoholic and free of any added sugars, so you're not going to have to worry about any of those annoying day after hangover effects. Easy Hemp Company is based right here in Birmingham, Alabama, and if you're looking for that social buzz with no regrets, then look no further. Easy Hemp Co. is available at Piggly Wigglies across the state, or you can visit them online at easyhempco.com to find a location nearby or have it shipped directly to your doorstep.
It's always fun when we get a chance to catch up with Martin Newton, who is the Sanford AD. He will join us at the top of the hour. We'll talk a little Sanford basketball, buckyball. Another successful season. They're currently number 2 in the SoCon. Got a big home game tonight. Also, it's a situation, Landrum, where he is on the men's basketball selection committee. And so many questions. We typically talk to Martin after the conclusion of the final bracket reveal, but I thought it'd be a good opportunity for us to kind of catch up and kind of talk through the process of what he has to go through as a member of that 12-person committee.
Yeah, not only that, but just given his background and growing up around the SEC and in the SEC, how historic this has been for the conference, the league as a whole, and maybe some of these other conferences, if he can kind of break down, are we missing something with some of these other, because it's been the SEC, Duke, and then everybody else. Maybe you throw in a Houston, but it's the talk of college basketball this year has been the SEC, which is huge. But huge matchup, as you mentioned, coming up tonight at Pete Hanna. Little revenge game as Sanford takes on Furman. Last I checked, Sanford was a 7-point favorite.
That is correct. Yes.
So hopefully the Bulldogs and Bucky can get it done tonight, and hopefully UAB traveling on the road. You can hear the game on Jocks 2 100.5 as they take on Rice.
Yeah, that will be a 7:00 tip-off. The pregame show begins at 6:30 over on Jocks 2 100.5. Rice, I'm just being honest, is the second worst team in the American Conference.
They are, man, but you know as well as I do, that team, they can be a booger bear, especially there at home.
Yep, 3-10 in league play.
That's not good.
Are the Rice Owls? Blazers are currently tied for second place. They have a 9-3 mark in the American Athletic Conference. UAB, how about this number? They're 21-4 all time against Rice. 21-4.
Like that stat coming in. But check this out. You want to talk about the two of the tougher teams in the league, North Texas and Tulane. Rice played North Texas on February 11th, lost that game by 6 points, played at Tulane this past Saturday, lost that game by 3 points. Lost the game versus Memphis at home by 3 points. Lost at South Florida by 5 points, at FAU by 2 points. This team has been close. This is not one that the Blazers need to go in and sleepwalk. Hopefully they can come in. And I know that Andy Kennedy, and just talking with him on Monday, he told his team, very rarely do you get second chances when it comes to, life in general, but a second chance. And Memphis dropping a game, now UAB actually does control its own destiny. You can win out. You're going to have the head-to-head with Memphis coming up at Bartow next Sunday, which will be a huge game. So, yeah. For UAB, for seeding purposes, for the tournament coming up. And if you can get a couple of buys and you only have to play 3 games, that would be welcomed. And you like the track record of the Blazers in getting the postseason through the conference tournament, whether it be through Conference USA or the American. Hopefully that holds true this year.
Yeah, Andy Kennedy always has his guys primed and ready when they get to the conference tournament. They've won it the last couple years and done a really nice job getting to the postseason. So hopefully this basketball team, which I believe they've won 9 of their last 11 games, they did have the stinker up in Memphis, but for the most part, this team is in every single basketball game, and they're currently tied for second place in the conference. And just like most conferences, you would like to be in the top 4. The reason why is because you get those early round buys before you have to play in those tournaments. And when you're in a conference like Sanford is in the SoCon, like UAB is in the American, you need to win your conference tournament.
Yeah, and you hope. I mean, we brought it up yesterday, but you're going to have Memphis coming here to play in Birmingham, and based on what you saw against Wichita, you hope that maybe that's the version of Memphis you get on the road, where playing on the road's always difficult, but that would be massive for UAB, not only for the standings, but just for confidence to get that win over Memphis in the regular season and carry that into the conference tournament.
So we'll talk to Martin Newton coming up in just a couple of minutes. We'll get his thoughts on the whole process of being on the selection committee and being able to get together with his compatriots there across the rest of intercollegiate athletics and be able to get together and come up with this very difficult list that is the selection committee when it comes to college basketball. One thing's for sure, I've been telling you for a while about encapsulating your crawl space, and that is very important if you're a homeowner because water and all sorts of things can get into your home, and you need to make sure that you can take care of that. And that's where you need to go to alabamaprofessional.com because you can get lined up today, a free estimate, a professional at APS to be able to come out and to make sure that your home has been properly waterproofed. And they can set forth a plan in which they can take care of that crawl space with their encapsulation process. It will get rid of pests. It will get rid of the mold and mildew and everything else that is creeping inside your home. So check them out online. That is alabamaprofessional.com. That is APS.
208th meeting tonight between Vandy and Kentucky at Rupp. Kentucky a 4.5-point favorite. You got to lean on that one, Pat? Vandy won the game in Nashville earlier this season.
I like Kentucky at home.
Vandy has won 3 of the last 5. Kentucky minus 4.5. Hard to go against them at Rupp. Martin Newton talking NCAA Tournament selection next.
It is 12 noon here on Three Man Front, Jocks 94.5, great radio stations like up in Huntsville, the Ump. You can also hear us down in the capital city of Montgomery, Alabama on Jocks 740. Joining us now on the Buyers Right Hotline, the athletics director over at Samford University, also a member of the men's basketball selection committee. Martin Newton joins us here on Three Man Front. Martin, I hope you're doing well.
I'm doing great, guys. I appreciate you having me on to talk a little basketball.
Absolutely. Let's start with the big one that you guys have at home tonight as Buckyball gets it rolling here as we get ready for the SoCon conference coming up in just a couple of weeks. And right now, this SoCon is very competitive. Got Furman coming in here tonight. Should be a really good game.
Yeah, Furman and Samford are always a great game. There's not a lot of love between the two of us, and it'll be a great game. Furman had an unbelievable non-conference slate, and then they've gotten struggled a little bit in the conference, but primarily because our league is so deep. I mean, we've got 6-7 teams that on any given night can beat anybody, so you got to bring your A game. But really proud of Bucky and what this team has done. To win 20 games for the fourth straight year in a row, a school record, is pretty amazing when you think about where we were and where he's brought us to.
And reflective of that, Martin, is the crowds that you get there at the Pete Hanna Center. It's been awesome. There was a random Saturday, me and my wife, we actually wanted to go, and I went online and it said that there were no tickets available. You got a great crowd. You have to love that as the athletics director and somebody who holds basketball, college basketball, near and dear to their heart.
Well, you got to credit Bucky and the style of play and what he's done to not only get our community excited, but get our students excited. We've got our students have really shown up and have been very supportive. And, we've only got, you got 6,000 total students here, undergrad around 4,000. And to have the percentages of our students that are showing up at the games, really exciting. And, again, why wouldn't you? It's a safe, fun place to come watch basketball. It's a great style of basketball. We play up tempo, we press the whole game. So there's just a lot of positives, and encourage anybody that hadn't had a chance to come out and watch us. We got 2 games left tonight, and then again on Saturday. Man, come on out and watch us. You'll have a good time, I promise you.
Well, it's an exciting brand of basketball. 20th, the highest scoring offense in college basketball. And I think that's down a little bit because it went kind of through a rough spot, but still 83 points a game. That's pretty exciting. And one thing I do want to, before we talk about the selection committee and wrapping up talking about just Samford basketball in general, you look like a genius, Martin, signing Bucky to that contract extension a couple years ago, because I know there's probably a lot of people out there that would love to have some Bucky ball.
Well, he's unique and he's really special. I've had the privilege of being around some really great coaches in my time, working with Converse and Nike, and then growing up in a basketball family. But I will tell you, he's unique, and he's. I think when it's all said and done, I compare him to Rick Pitino a lot. I got an honor of spending some time with Rick. I think Rick's probably one of the greatest college basketball coaches ever, and I think Bucky's got a lot of those same similar traits. He's very analytical. He's very driven. Gets the big picture. He's the total package. Now, I probably shouldn't say that because I'll have all these other schools coming out here and trying to steal him. But the reality of it is what he's done for Samford, not just Samford basketball, but Samford University. I can't thank him enough. I mean, he's made me look like I knew what I was doing as an athletics director, which I can tell you is not true. But he's just really a special, unique individual.
I know you don't want to talk about it, and you just said it, but people know Bucky's name now and what he's been able to do there on that campus. How does it work? If someone wanted to reach out to talk to Bucky, would they reach out to his representation, or would that phone call come to your office?
Well, probably the initial phone call would come to his representation, and then hopefully they would reach out to me and let me know. And again, I look at it with Bucky. I go, you've got everything you need right here. Let's build this thing and make this what you would want anywhere else in the country. My dad used to say all the time that you're fired when you're hired. They just don't write the date in the contract, right? And so what Bucky's got here, it's his town, it's his city. He's got an unbelievable commitment from the community that is helping him and helping this program. And so again, I think, why not at Samford? Why can't we build this thing at Samford? Why can't everything he wants to accomplish come true right here at Samford?
We're talking to Martin Newton. He is the Samford AD, also a member of the NCAA selection committee here on Three Man Front. So let's talk about your other job, which is being a member of that NCAA selection committee. You're one of 12 individuals. And I know some of them rotate off. And I'm not mistaken, Martin, I think you're on there through 2027. Is that correct?
That's correct. I've got this year and 2 more Final Fours.
And so that means that you will be you will be the I guess the chairperson, right? Coming up in the next year or so.
No, I have no idea. The committee votes on that, so I have no idea. I'm just enjoying the time that I get to spend with guys like Greg Byrne and Bubba Cunningham and others that are on the committee that are just really good, solid, intelligent people that have helped me really kind of learn a lot about not just college basketball, but about college athletics in general.
Okay, so part of the minutia that I was reading, and this is where I would really love to get your insight on. So if I read this correctly, so each of the 12 men's basketball committee members, you're assigned, is it 5 to 6 conferences that you will monitor throughout the season? Is that kind of how you guys kind of divvy up who watches what and when?
Yeah, exactly. We have a primary monitor and a second. You'll have a primary conference and a secondary conference. And so, for example, the Big 12 is my primary conference. The Big 10 is one of my secondary conferences. And so it's our job, each committee member's job, to be experts on those conferences, so that when we get into the committee room and we're talking about the Big 12 or the SEC or the A10 or the Southern Conference, we're experts on that conference. We should know everything about that conference. We should know everything about those teams, personnel, injury updates, style of play, you name it. We should be the experts so that we can share that with the other committee members, not to change their decision process, but to inform their decision making during that process.
Okay, one of the stats there, when we look at the net rankings, we are looking at all these different categories, and of course we pay attention to quad 1, quad 2. We're kind of well versed on that, but the WAB metric is one that, I'll be honest with you, Martin, I've seen it before. I never really took the time to click on it and see what WAB actually meant. But explain to everybody what WAB is and how much it weighs into your decision, your thought process when evaluating these teams and where they should be seated.
Well, the WAB it's another metric that we can use to evaluate teams. And WAB basically stands for wins above the bubble. So it's how many, it's not how many games a bubble team would win against the team's schedule. It's really more about how many games a team has won against its schedule than a bubble quality team would expect to win. So I know it can get really, really complicated, but it is a great tool for us to be, as you get down, because here's what happens when you get into these meetings and you're looking at all these different team sheets and you're taking all the games that you've watched and you're looking at these metrics. You need things that are differentiate the different teams, right? Some of them can look so similar. And what are those things that can help you put this team, say, above this team, whether it's in the seeding line or whether it's actually making the tournament? And so the WAB really helps you to understand how teams have done against the average bubble team during their schedules. So it's just, it's another metric. We've got 2 different metrics or 2 different types of metrics that we look at. Results averages is how you actually did, and then the predictive metrics with how you should do based on different metrics. So it's really, it can get complicated, but it's really not as hard as you think. It's just another tool that we have in our tool belt to try to differentiate between different teams.
All right, so since 2018, the net rankings have become a major metric that's been used along with Ken Palm and others. But I'm curious, what would your dad say about all these metrics that you have at your disposal today as compared to when your dad sat on those committee many years ago?
I think he would think that they're useful tools. Look, the reality of college athletics, it's a big business today, right? So the amount of money generated from this tournament for the NCAA and the member institutions is significant. And so we've got to make sure we get it right. Not perfect, but try to get it right. And so I think having these different metrics are important. But I think he would say this: don't get away from watching basketball games in the eye test. Because you can, there's ways to manipulate metrics. There's ways to manipulate whether it's the net, whether it's the WAB, there are ways to manipulate them. So make sure that you're watching games and have your opinion on what you feel like is important to tournament runs. I just happen to believe that guards, especially senior guards, and experienced guards, not necessarily seniors, but experienced guards, play a prominent role in how you do in tournament. I just think that's really important. That's not to say that bigs are not significant. It's not to say that they don't matter, but I think you've got to have a really good backcourt to advance in the tournament. So that's something that I look at. That's nothing in the metrics. There's nothing in the metrics that say, oh, well, this is an experienced senior team. So I think it's really important. I think he'd tell you, watch a lot of basketball games. Make sure you're familiar with a lot of different teams' style of play, their defensive efficiencies, their offensive efficiencies. Are they good free throw shooting teams? Because all of those things play a role in winning games in a tournament. I think another metric that's really important for me is how they do on neutral site and how they do on road games, because no tournament game is played on your home court. You go into Rupp Arena, for example, that's a hard place to win. So if you're winning games in Rupp Arena, you're winning games on the road, that tells me you got a chance to be a pretty good tournament team as well.
We are chatting with Sanford Athletics Director and NCAA Tournament Selection Committee member Martin Newton. He joins us here on Three Man Front, and all of our guests join us on the Buyers Right hotline. If there is a team, and I would just go blind resume here, but there is a team that had a pretty impressive non-conference schedule and a win-loss record, but in conference play, their win-loss record is dreadful. And maybe they've played some really good competition, and maybe it's a really strong conference top to bottom, but their record is dreadful. Is there a cutoff line or something that you guys circle as far as conference wins as a qualifier to even have that team in a discussion, or does that not matter if the metrics in other areas play out?
There is not a metric. There is not a cutoff. We don't look at it and say, well, you got to win 6 games in your conference or you're not qualified. Our goal and our job as committee members is to pick the 37 best at-large teams, not the most deserving teams, but the 37 best at-large teams. And so you've got to be real careful. And the SEC is a great example this year, right? Very deep conference. You've got some teams. I mean, you look at Oklahoma that was 13-0 in the non-conference with some really good non-conference wins against some teams that are highly ranked right now. They've struggled in conference. I think their conference record right now is like 3-10. So you've got to weigh that against, say, a Drake who is having a phenomenal year, who is 22-3 or whatever, but which is the better team, not the most deserving team, which is the better team. And so again, it's really important to focus on not the most deserving, but the best team. And conference record, although it plays a part, there is no cut line that you have to win this many games.
You're so smart. I was talking, absolutely was referencing Oklahoma. And then that was, yeah. You knew exactly who I was talking about, didn't you?
He nailed it.
Well, I don't know about that. I know I've been looking at a lot of the same things you've been looking at, and it's going to, and look, that's going to be the challenge for this committee this year, because you've got very deep leagues. You've got leagues that are bigger. The Big 10, the Big 12, the SEC all have more teams. They're no longer 12-team conferences. And so you've got to be able to look at that. But you've also got some other really good teams like a UC Irvine or a University of California, San Diego, who really good basketball teams that don't get the opportunity to play as many quad 1 or quad 2 games, but they're really good basketball teams. Drake, for example. So you've got to really be able to dissect and look. And again, I go back to that eye test, watching games. When, if I look and I go, man, would I rather play an Oklahoma in the tournament, or would I rather play UC San Diego in the tournament? And the only way to know that is by watching them.
I'm not asking you to disclose something that you should not, because it was behind closed doors. But since Bubba Cunningham brought it up on Saturday, he said the overall number 1 team as of right now, based on the results that was released on Saturday, was the Auburn Tigers, being unanimous. Since you've been on the committee for a couple of years, at this stage of picking and choosing and discussing these teams, have you ever had someone that was that overwhelming as a unanimous number 1 this early in the process?
Not really. But you look at their team sheet, you look at what they've accomplished. 14 quad 1 wins against 2 losses. I mean, it's the next, put that in perspective, the next closest team is 8. And so the gap has kind of widened with them. Not only that, but you look at what they tried to do in the non-conference with a non-conference strength of schedule, I believe, of 8. Their overall strength of schedule is number 1 in the country. Their offensive efficiency, they're number 1 in the country in adjusted offensive efficiency. They're like 14th in the country in defensive efficiency. So just the metrics alone tell you that this is one of the best teams in the country. But then when you watch them, and you see their depth, and you see their ability to play different styles. They can go up tempo with you, or they can get you in a half court game, and they can pull bigs out and make shots, or their guards can drive it. It's really an incredibly balanced team. And so again, all that says is they got a chance to win a national championship. You get into that tournament, man, all bets are off with everything, because you just never know. I mean, last year, nobody would have predicted them losing to Yale, but you have an incident that happens in the beginning of that game, and the next thing you know, they're out in the first round. So it's just they are an incredible basketball team. But I'll tell you this, there's a lot of really good basketball teams this year, and I think this tournament you're going to see some games in the first and second rounds that are going to just blow people's mind because of the parity.
I don't want to put you in a bad spot, so you can be creative with your answer or just say I'm not going to answer it. But for an Auburn team right now that is the overall number 1 seed, how drastic would it have to be in these final 6 games of the season, the regular season, for them to fall off that overall 1 line?
I mean, I think it would have to be drastic. Again, I don't know that they fall off maybe the overall number 1 seed. I mean, who knows? Again, you just look at the SEC right now. I mean, every game that you've played, I don't have Auburn's schedule in front of me, but I was looking at Alabama's schedule the other day, and every team they play is like a top 15, top 20 team. So the rest of the year, I think it would be hard for them to drop out of the number 1 seed. They're that good. But then again, you look at the 2 line and the 3 line. You even look at the 5 and the 6 line with some of these teams, and it's just going to be, there's going to be some teams that are going to have a lot of losses down the stretch because their conferences are they're that deep, and there's that much parity. And then you get into the conference tournament, and I think that's one of the biggest questions teams have got to ask. Okay, I get into the conference tournament, and I've had to grind of this unbelievable conference season. Now I'm into the conference tournament. How far do I want to win the conference tournament, but maybe I'm better off losing a game in the semifinals or the quarterfinals so that I can get a little bit of rest going into the NCAA tournament.
And you might not want to answer this question either, because they're your compatriots and comrades in the business. But to me, watching the men's selection committee for years, the efficiency, and I know that there's going to be criticism no matter what happens every year. There's going to be some fan bases upset, but I'm amazed at the process that you guys go through. And why can we not get the college football playoff selection committee to take some cues from you guys in what you do? And why is that process so painful to watch every single season?
I think it's because that process is newer, right? I mean, the college the tournament has expanded, but the expansion has come slow with growth, right? We went from 64 to 68 teams. Before that, I think it was 53 teams, and so the expansion has taken place over a long period of time. But it all sat within that NCAA men's basketball committee, whereas the CFP is relatively new. Before you had the BCS era, and they kind of govern their own thing. And what I will say about the process with the men's basketball committee, it's been developed over a long period of time, and it's had the leadership of the NCAA. Right now it's Danny Gavitt, who is he's an incredible leader, and I think one of the best in business. So those policies and procedures have been tweaked and developed over a long period of time, where the CFP is, we've gone from 4 teams, now we've gone to 12, and we look, I'm not going to 16. And so I think they're still trying to figure out their way a little bit. And I think the other thing that's been really good about the college basketball is you're talking about 366 teams. It's Division I basketball, so all are represented in this process, whereas with the CFP, you're talking basically about 2 leagues that are kind of running the show right now, right? And so there's a tendency to think about what's best for those 2 leagues as opposed to what's best for the entirety of college football.
There is some talk, Martin, about the tournament possibly expanding to 76 teams, and it could happen. Would that make your job as a selection committee member easier, or does that just kick the can kind of down the road and it makes it tougher trying to decide between those and then maybe the next 8?
No, then you've got the 77th, 78th, 79th, and 80th team pissed off because they didn't.
That's
make
right.
the tournament. So tournament expansion, I mean, you do it for the right reasons. You don't do it so it all has to do with, and again, I'm saying I'm for or against expansion. I'm just saying it's got to be done for the right reasons, not because a couple of individuals feel like they need to have, or leagues feel like they need to have more teams in the tournament. That's the beauty of this tournament. I mean, it is you earn your way into this tournament. And so I think it doesn't matter whether they're 68 or 168. There's always going to be somebody that's going to be upset that they didn't make the tournament. The key is, in my opinion, this is the greatest sporting event because it encompasses an entire fan base that, quite frankly, may not even pay attention during the regular season, but everybody fills out that bracket and everybody has a rooting interest, and there's Cinderella, and there's all those things that make this the greatest sporting event in the world. And so I think we've got to be, the committee and has got to be real diligent about how we look at expansion, not just expand for the sake of expansion or because a certain group of people want us to expand. It's got to be done for the right reason. Are you
watching the tournament with some of these teams that are borderline, or maybe the committee received criticism on putting that team in over the other? Are you wearing some of these games on your sleeve as you're watching them play out and hoping that you're right and you look like a genius?
No, again, I think that the burden that the committee has is really trying to make sure that all biases are out of the room, which I think we do a really good job in making sure that we're picking the 37 best teams. Because, again, if you think about it, 31 of those teams have earned their way in through an automatic qualifier. So it's those 37 teams. And, again, there's differences of opinions within the room. We all want to be right. It's human nature. But, for example, last year there was a couple teams that I felt like should have been in the tournament over other teams that were in the tournament. But then as the tournament played out, I was going, I would have been wrong on that one because, man, this team not only – did they deserve to be in? They had a nice little run in the tournament. And so I think you've got to take those, that human nature, hey, I want to be right, out, and just constantly focus on, are we putting the best 37 teams in the tournament?
That is Martin Newton, best in the business. Sanford AD got a big home game tonight against Furman at 6:30 over at the Hanna Center. Martin, we always appreciate your candor, your opportunity to come on the show and just talk freely about the process. And best of luck for the rest of the season. And I'm sure we'll be bugging you again to try to get your thoughts on some stuff.
You are never bugging me. Look, anytime I get to talk about Sanford and basketball, I'm especially in this crazy football state. I think that we're going to have to start rethinking this being just a football state, though, right?
I think we're there.
I think we're there. Well. I think the data points prove that we're there now, Martin. Yep,
we're there. You guys do a great job of promoting all sports, in all schools. So we appreciate you more than you know.
All right, Martin, take care. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks,
Thank you. That is Martin Newton, the athletics director at Sanford University, also a member of the men's selection committee. There's only 12 in America, and he's one of them. So very fortunate to have Martin Newton in our backyard.
And very fortunate to have Dobbs Ford right there in our backyard. On Parkway East in Birmingham, you check out Dobbs Ford, Alabama's largest showroom selection. The Goshen family, just genuinely awesome people, but it's the entire staff there at Dobbs Ford. Full transparency you're going to get throughout the process. They'll beat any competitor's price. The F-150s, the Mustangs, the Broncos Sports, Explorers, Escapes, the list goes on and on. A great inventory. They're going to take care of you, I promise. Otherwise, I wouldn't recommend them. Go see and feel the difference. There's Dobbs Ford, Parkway Eastern Birmingham, dobbsfordbirmingham.com. Tell the Goshens and everybody there at Dobbs at Landrum from Jocks 94.5 sent you. We will open up the phone lines. We can talk about what Martin just described to us. We had Chris Stewart on previewing Alabama and Missouri from Como earlier in the show. 800-239-WJOX, 205-834-9450 on the text line. Much more to come here on Three Man Front and Jocks 94.5.
Just a great conversation with Martin Newton. If you did not hear it in its entirety, you need to go back and download the 3-Man Front podcast and listen to that. Just some great basketball talk about Samford University, about Bucky and the future of Samford basketball. And he knows.
Isn't that crazy though? I was laying out blind resume and he immediately goes Oklahoma.
I mean,
they're studying this stuff every day, every night.
But I just love the fact that he brought up that you can have all the data that you want to. But at the end of the day, what did he say his dad would say to him? Always watch.
Yep.
It's the eyeball test.
Well, best versus most deserving. That's something that I would like to kind of get into.
Oh, yeah.
If we had more time. But we're going to have him back on. He's very gracious with his time. But to be able to pick the brain of one of 12 individuals that decides the field of 68.
Yeah, to think that there's only 12 people in the country that's helped decide that. Unlike the College Football Playoff Committee, that nobody does interviews except the clown they trot out there on Tuesday nights. That's it. That's all you get. And most of the time, these people can't even speak. I mean, they can't. I mean, they just stick their foot in their mouth, open their mouth, insert foot. That's what they do. And there's no consistency. Whether it's, and like you said, Bubba Cunningham is one of the sharpest athletic directors in America. Then you have people like Greg Byrne and Martin Newton on that committee. The IQ level is through the roof, unlike some of those people in the college football playoff room. My goodness.
Well, yesterday, Wallace State baseball swept their doubleheader against Columbia State to improve to 6-2 overall on the season. They'll now head to Decatur, Mississippi for a tournament this weekend. And Wallace State softball is currently 9-2 on the season as they head into the JUCO Extravaganza tournament over in Oxford, Alabama this weekend. For more information on the Lions, go hit them up online at athletics.wallacestate.edu.
If you're just now tuning in, most of our program been talking about college basketball. You've got two big ones tonight for Alabama and Auburn, UAB and Samford, all four teams. Big games tonight that will help decide them moving forward, where they're going to be in the pecking order. You've got Auburn and Arkansas. That's an 8 o'clock tip-off down on the Plains. You can hear the game right here on Jocks 94.5. At the exact same time, Alabama, they're in Como taking on the Missouri Tigers. Mizzou's ranked 15th this week in the AP Top 25 poll. Bama slid to 4 after their loss. You've got UAB on the road at Rice. That's a 7 o'clock tip-off. You can hear that game over on Jocks 2 100.5. And Samford, a 6:30 tip-off over at the Hannah Center as they take on Furman. More 3-Man Front on this Wednesday. This is Jocks 94.5.
Huh? 12:35, three-man front here on this Wednesday. College hoops tonight. We got Sanford at home versus Furman. UAB on the road as they take on Rice. You can hear the game. Jock 2 100.5. Tip time is 7 o'clock, 6:30. The pregame. Voice of the Blazers, David Crane, along with Patrick Smith and others. Auburn hosting Arkansas. Alabama's at Mizzou. And maybe just a couple of these games our next guest will feature. It is our buddy JR on a Wednesday, a college basketball Wednesday from TakingVegas.com. JR, my friend, how are you?
I'm doing outstanding, Landrum, and really want to thank you for having me on a happy basketball Wednesday, as I think we're going to wind up doing, because there's a lot of good Auburn-Alabama games that'll be on the slate for these games on Wednesdays moving forward, and I couldn't be more excited, man. We are right now documented over 70% in college basketball. I don't like this game tonight. I absolutely love the matchup between Mizzou taking on Alabama, so I'm going to give that one out for free. Anybody that wants the winner of that matchup for free, you want to make money on it, guys? It's simple. Get on the right side. I'm going to give it to you on the house. All you got to do is dial 888-9-WIN-NOW. That's 888-994-6669. When you dial on the recorded line, guys, you're going to get for free the point spread winner of the big matchup. Again, Mizzou at home taking on your Crimson Tide. Get that winner free. Give us a call, 888-994-6669. That's 888-9-WIN-NOW to get the point spread winner for free on the recorded line.
JR, you know, and doing what you do and being from outside the state of Alabama, but how college football crazy we are and just football crazy we are. But now with the level of college basketball we have in this state, Alabama's now a college basketball state. What has that been like for you, and just seeing the enthusiasm and the level of play that we're getting here in the great state of Alabama?
Well, first, I was actually going to bring that up and how awesome I think it is that you got two programs that are really at the top of their game. They were both 1-2 last week. They got to play each other. Auburn came out on top. Some incredible talent right now at the War Eagle headquarters. And, I mean, Alabama, obviously, Marcus Sears, and, I mean, just the way they've been playing has been just incredibly good. No one really saw this. Both teams being in even the top 5 or top 10 for that matter coming. And I could say that I know that we've been doing these interviews forever. I've always kept it to the college football season because that's really where the interest has always been. But when you've got two really strong programs like this, and my forte being in college basketball, I thought it was a no-brainer. Let's keep doing it. Let's keep talking about it. Let's turn Alabama into not just a one-sided purview college football area. Let's turn them into loving college basketball too, because guys, there are so many more games to make money on in college basketball, and you got a lot happening even throughout the country with more states. We just got word, and I'm sure you've heard that governor over in Texas next door to you guys is going to have legislation passed. We'll have legalized sports betting in the state of Texas by 2026. So there's so much going on right now. And guys, if you're serious about making money, college basketball is a fantastic time to be able to do it. So give us a shout at 888-9-WIN-NOW. I'll give you the winner of the Mizzou-Alabama matchup for free. And it's on a recorded line at 888-994-6669.
When you talk football with us during the fall, you always stress money management to all of our listeners, and that's something that is near and dear to your heart, and that holds true for college basketball. The difference, though, in the two sports, obviously, you got so many more games to choose from, and then with the tournament, people get – I just say get a little bit excited and maybe can be a little bit, be a little overzealous, and they're firing in left and right about teams that they have no idea about. What do you stress when it comes to college basketball? How does that differ in the way that you play college football?
If you're going to fill out a bracket, okay, when we get to the tournament time, if you're going to fill out a bracket, just fill it out and forget you filled it out. Don't keep looking at it as to the games that you're going to bet individually. You have to have an unbiased opinion every single night. So much goes on in college basketball day to day. If you're not up on it, I mean, let's face it, most guys work all day. Most of you guys are out there working anywhere from 8 to 16 hours a day, sometimes even more. You get done, you come home, you want to crack a beer, put your feet up, and watch the game. You don't want to spend 4.5 hours trying to figure out who's going to win. That's why you deal not only with an expert as to the sides in which you should be playing, but also that money management aspect. You are right. It is very true to and dear to my heart, and that's because I've seen guys win and lose money constantly throughout my 30-plus year career in this business. And being in a position of doing this at such a high level that I felt, if I can get that down to the lower guys, the guys that are not betting as much as my big players, we can really start a windfall. And that's something that we've been doing now for decades. We've been able to take small players, guys that are, only betting 100, 200, 300 a game, and turn them over time into guys that are betting $2,000, $3,000 a game. I mean, I've got pictures of $100,000 bets during the NFL playoffs. And we should probably touch on the fact, and I know anyone else in my position never wants to talk about losing, but I do so much winning, I actually have to bring up the losing sometimes to let you guys know we're not going to win every game. And I was unfortunately, I'll say it out loud, on the wrong side of this year's Super Bowl, which is, big game. And as sad as it is, I still think I was going into it on the right side. I really thought that they would show up at Kansas City. They never even got off the bus. Philadelphia absolutely steamrolled them. And unfortunately, that one time, because I killed it in the AFC and NFC championship games, through the playoffs, we killed it. But the big game, unfortunately, we had the wrong side of that one.
All right. Well, you can make it up to all of our listeners with your free pick on the air for tonight. You are going college basketball. It's out of the American. I know the matchup. I don't know which side or total that you're going to go with this game. I know the matchup, and I love it. I love it, love it, love it. I hope that I am right and you agree with me on this free pick.
All right, well, it's one of those, I guess you could call it mid-majors, and not the most interesting game. Not people are lined up at the stadium to watch this one. But, I mean, look, you've got UTSA at home in a matchup that they're 10-15 straight up, but 11-11 against the spread. They're scoring the same amount as USF. They're playing South Florida. Both teams score about 76, about the same on defense. But this UTSA team and the money that's coming in on this game, you take a look at it, the bets are over 80% on South Florida, but yet the line has gone up from -1 to -2.5 on Texas San Antonio. It's a trap. The public is going to be all over South Florida. Landrum, I would not be surprised if you told me that you like South Florida, but I'm telling you now, it is going to be a steamroll. Not only the line went up to -2.5, but look at the money line. UTSA is minus over 150 on only a 2.5-point spread. Again, they get it done, and they get it done by double digits. Get on Texas San Antonio to absolutely destroy South Florida.
No, I like UTSA, as a matter of fact. I saw South Florida play in person this past weekend against UAB at Bartow Arena. Saw UTSA come to Bartow earlier, but going to San Antonio to play in that building, it's just different. No, I like the Roadrunners tonight.
Yeah, they're going to be rocking that place. I mean, if there's one thing that they do bring a crowd. So I really do like them in this spot. I think that they get it done. It's not going to come down to the final basket. This is going to be a steamroll. 7 minutes left on the clock. They'll be up at least 10 to 12 points. Get all over them. But look, I don't, again, I wish I can give this one out for free on air. That's how much I love it. I love the matchup between Alabama and Mizzou. In fact, I'll even give this one to you via text message. Go ahead and text the word WIN, W-I-N, to the number 545454. I'll send you back the winner of this matchup for free via text message, okay? Again, text the word WIN, W-I-N, to the number 545454, and right away, as soon as you send that text, you're going to get a text right back within seconds, and it'll have the winner of this matchup between Alabama and Mizzou absolutely free, no strings attached. Just go ahead and text the word WIN to 545454. And look, guys, this is an everyday thing. Even if you think you got it figured out, get with an expert that understands bankroll management more than anything else, and let me show you how to do it right. So be safe, have fun, and as always, guys, let's go out there and let's make some money.
JR, this is fun. I love talking college basketball with you, and I know firsthand how good you are at picking these games. So thank you. Our listeners appreciate it.
12-0. 12-0 in the first and second round last year. So we're going to get it again, guys. I'm excited.
JR, thank you so much. We appreciate you.
My pleasure. Thanks, guys.
That is JR from TakingVegas.com. Once again, the free winner he gave on the air. He likes UTSA, which I do too. That's scary. At home as they take on the South Florida Bulls. More to come. It's 3-Man Front and Jocks, 94.5.
It's 12:49, Jocks 94.5 on this Wednesday. Appreciate you making us part of your day. We've got basketball tonight. Alabama, Auburn, UAB, Samford, all four of those teams in action tonight. So it should be a good night of watching some basketball in this cold weather. You can go in person and see Auburn tonight down at Neville Arena. Of course, it's a sellout if you want to buy some secondary tickets. But meanwhile, at Samford, good opportunity to go watch them play at 6:30 tonight. Have you been reading up, Conrad, about the Alabama documentary that's going to be on, is it Fox Nation? Is that right?
It is on Fox Nation right now. I will be watching it when I get home this afternoon. But yeah, they followed, essentially it seems like they followed Alabama this past season and Kalen DeBoer's first year and the replacement of Nick Saban. And yeah, it'll be interesting to see how in depth they go. And I know, I think maybe just the first episode came out today, and I know that one focuses a lot on the Georgia game early on in the season and some of the preseason stuff.
I don't want to give it away, but apparently Kalen DeBoer uses profanity.
Yeah, and did you see what word it was?
I did see what that word was.
Is it the same one that was being used in Coleman?
No, it's a word that we can say on the radio, so, you know. It is what it is.
Hades.
H-E double hockey sticks. Yeah.
I know.
No. But apparently, according to...
do you think they'll lose a lot of recruits because he has that potty mouth?
Probably.
No. I think for some people, it might make them excited to know that he can get a little colorful with the language sometimes. But no, my favorite part of that was not that he said a curse word. It was that apparently after he said it, the players went crazy and were like, oh my, you know, like it was a big deal for them. Like, oh, we finally got Coach DeBoer to
But
say
hey,
a
he
dirty
got their
word.
attention, right?
It's effective.
That's right.
A little different than Nick, than what
You
they
could
got
argue
with Coach
that
Saban.
maybe it just depends. What game are we talking about where he said it?
Georgia.
Because, okay, well, I would argue that
I think it was
there
in
were some
the
games
pregame.
where he did not have their attention. Of all the years, though, you're going to do this in a 9-4 season. I understand.
Well, I saw that because that was my thought was this doesn't seem like something that Alabama would sign off on being okay with, but apparently one of the camera guys or somebody that is affiliated with doing the documentary was actually a walk-on at Alabama under Nick Saban, and so he had that pre-existing relationship with Coach Saban and the university, and so I'm wondering if maybe that's how they were able to get this deal done.
Possibly. So it's on Fox Nation.
Yeah, which I'll be honest, I don't know if they have a I'll try to look right now. I don't know if they have an app. I thought it'd be on like the Fox Sports app, but I guess it's on.
No, I think
their
Fox Nation
website?
is a
No,
feed
Fox Nation is a separate streaming
that you pay for, correct?
that you pay for.
Oh, I'm
Yeah,
gonna have to pay for it.
it's not too much, Conrad.
Yeah, but I'm already giving $5 to Yay Alabama every month.
Why isn't that part of the Yay Alabama subscription?
That's what I'm saying.
Conrad, you're in luck. It starts at $5 a month.
Is there a free trial?
Yes, there is.
Then I'll wait for all 6 episodes to come out.
They do. They have a
Knock it
lot of interesting documentaries and series that they put on there. That
do you have a subscription?
I do.
Okay.
Oh, it's $8 a month unless you pay annually. That's where they make it's $5 a month, but you really just have to pay up front for.
So last night, speaking of subscriptions, you know how you always hear these stories, and I know Landrum, you and Dorothy did this a couple of years ago. You sat down and you actually said, "Hey, look, we've got way too many of these subscriptions here. Like, we need to consolidate."
I do it monthly just
we need
to
get
make
rid
sure.
of this. Yeah, right. So last night, I'm sitting there, and I'm like flipping around on my DirecTV, and I cannot find the Michigan State Purdue game. And I'm like, where is this stupid thing?
Big Ten Network.
So no, I went to the Big Ten Network. Wasn't there.
Peacock.
I go to FS1, not there. And I'm like, what is going on here? So I did a search, and it comes up and it's on Peacock. And I said, man, it's on Peacock. Really? I want to watch this game. So I go on my laptop, I go to Peacock, and I go, oh yeah, I got a subscription to Peacock.
Oh, from the NFL season that you forgot about.
I didn't even know I had it. And I'm like going, oh, okay. Well, that's cool. How much is that costing me a month?
It's just so funny and I will say Peacock, because Paige and I have had a couple times where we're like, let's actually see what's on Peacock because we watch The Office and that's about it. And there's some decent stuff on there, but it's wild that there's a streaming service that exists essentially for one show, and that's what everyone has it for. If you don't care about The Office, you probably don't have Peacock.
But when I finally did it and purged and went through and saw all the different things, and it was not like anything that stood out. Oh my gosh, we're paying $30 for this. $5, $10, $8, $7, $8, $10, and it's just all sorts. It was well over $100.
Did I tell you all about the time that we had a $80 subscription that we were paying for, and we thought that it was a mistake, and then it turned out that Paige had signed up for some free trial on her phone for like an app that keeps track of like how far you walk and stuff, because she got it really into running. And so we were paying $80 a month for this app that, I don't know,
I
maybe.
think it was Strava.
Yeah. And she had not realized that after, the first month, they start billing you every month and it's not free anymore. And so we were paying $80 for that.
So actually, I think I went
$80 to track how far you walk.
Yes, Landrum, that was a very similar reaction to what I had.
But when I was doing a little research last night, I think I was able to get that Peacock subscription literally for like $19 for the entire year.
I was about to say, this is kind of like a hack for anybody that doesn't know about this, but on Black Friday every year, you can get pretty much all the streaming services. They'll have like a 6 months for $1 or a year for $10 kind of deal. And
You just got to set that reminder.
That's when you strike. Yes.
You're reminding me, I still, Fubo, you are tricky. Cannot access the page where I can actually cancel subscription.
Oh, that's convenient.
Yeah. You can,
this webpage is down right now?
No. It keeps redirecting you back to, even if I change like the browser or the URL, they know.
That's tricky.
Well, if you have an athletic scholarship, if you have an athletic subscription, you can pretty much get them to pay you to read their work.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
Like literally, I have multiple times I have canceled, and then they'll come back and they'll ask you, and I said, no, not interested. No, wait, before you go, what if we do this? Still not interested. Oh, no, well, what about this?
Oh, they'll give you a year for $1.
And so then it just comes to the point of like, well, would you guys like send me some free like gift certificates or something? And then I'll read your work. Am I not right?
No, you're totally right. That's how I got mine.
I've manipulated that one a few times.
Yeah.
Works every time. It's great.
I used to do that with DirecTV, but
everything's negotiable except with them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to leave, but I would really like that HBO package. Well, how about we throw that in free of charge? Great.
And then they started just randomly giving me and Landrum the Sunday ticket.
Yep.
Yeah, I haven't gotten that one yet. That'd be nice.
All right, the fourth hour of Three-Man Front is straight ahead. Join us, 1-800-239-WJOX, the Courtesy GMC text line, 205-834-9450.
1 o'clock here on Three Man Front. Appreciate you joining us, whether you're listening on the Jocks 94.5 app, Jocks 740 there in Montgomery on the UMP, North Alabama and Huntsville, the surrounding areas, or you're watching us on Jocks TV on YouTube. You can find us there. You can go to jocksfm.com, download the app, make it free and easy. Take us wherever you go throughout your travels. We'll get to your phone calls, also your text as promised, 800-239-WJOX or 205-834-9450. But first, I want to tell you about Prize Picks. What a great opportunity for you tonight. If you have not tried out Prize Picks, you can do it. Download the app right now. It's really easy. You can set up the account. And when you set up your account, they're going to ask you for a particular promo code. You're going to enter WJOX. That's right. WJOX is your promo code. And Prize Picks on your first $5 play, win or lose, they're going to kick back $50 instantly to the account. So once again, Prize Picks, that's the name of the app. If you have never tried it, download the app, then go and set up your account, enter promo code WJOX. You're going to get $50 credited to your account instantly on that first $5 play, win or lose. Prize Picks, they're awesome. It's the best place to get real money sports action. Over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings. Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 1,000 times your cash. So tonight, we've got Alabama and Missouri. Right now at Prize Picks, you can find particular players and some of the values. Mark Sears, I need some help from the audience because I'm filling out my lineup right now. Mark Sears, 17.5 points. Does Sears go more or less than the 17.5 points tonight in Como? Patrick Smith.
Over.
You're going to say more.
More.
More for Mark, all right? Going to enter that one in.
It's his birthday. He's definitely going for more.
Today's his birthday.
He's 26, right?
30.
I was going to ask how old he is.
I think he's like 24.
Okay. Janai Broom, more or less 19.5 points versus Arkansas tonight. I'm actually leaning less.
I was thinking less.
Less.
I'm more.
Okay.
Ooh.
But he'll still get a double-double.
Okay, so we got Mark Sears more than 17.5. Janai Broom less than 19.5. Chris Youngblood, I'm going more than 10.5 points. He's been really good on the road for most games this season.
He's the only one that's been hitting 3-pointers.
Yeah, I'll go more.
All right, you're going to go more for Chris Youngblood on 10.5 points versus Missouri. And then tonight, Denver Jones, back to the Auburn-Arkansas game, more or less than 10.5 points.
More, the National Player of the Week.
I'm going to go more on that one as well.
Big
See,
game.
It's that easy, and it's different college matchups, different players, NBA, all kinds of sports. Go to Prize Picks, promo code WJOX. Appreciate our partnership at Prize Picks.
So setting your basketball schedule for this evening, you got Furman at Sanford. That's a 6:30 tip-off over at the Pete Hanna Center. Furman 19-8 overall, 7-7 in league. Bulldogs 20-7. They got a big win over the weekend. Second place in the SoCon. They have a 10-4 record. Sanford has the 20th highest scoring offense in all of college basketball, 83 points a game. So that should be a good one tonight. Meanwhile, in Houston, UAB is taking on the Rice Owls. That is a 7 o'clock tip. The pregame show on Jocks 2 100.5 is at 6:30. Rice is the second worst team in the American Conference, 3-10 in league play. Blazers tied for second with a 9-3 mark. Yaxel Lindenborg is averaging 17.9 points, 10.8 rebounds, 4.2 assists per game. 8 o'clock tonight, a pair of games. It'll be split screen television there in the old network headquarters of the Blazers Sports Network for me, as you will have both the Alabama and Auburn games tipping off at the exact same time. Alabama's in Como taking on the Missouri Tigers. And at 8 o'clock here on Jocks 94.5, you can hear the Auburn Tigers hosting the Arkansas Razorbacks. Oh, yeah. You know what that music means? Tomorrow night at TD Garden in Boston, Massachusetts.
Freedom!
That's right.
I'm so excited.
The United States will be taking on Canada for the championship of the Four Nations. And I'm holding in my hand right now, fresh off the presses, I've got your prop bets for tomorrow night.
Oh, yeah. How many fights?
Question number 1, will there be a fight in the first minute of the game?
Absolutely.
Yes is plus 1,000. No, minus 5,000.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think we wait.
No.
Yeah, I'm going no.
Somali says yes.
I'm saying yes.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think they wait. I think we get a fight tomorrow night.
Okay, well, that's the next question. It's a great segue. How many fights will there be tomorrow night during the hockey match? 0 fights minus 200, 1 fight plus 150, 3 or more at plus 500, 2 fights plus 800.
2 fights.
2 fights plus 800.
I'd probably go 2 as well.
See, I was thinking 2. I like how they have 1 fight or absolute chaos and it's just going to be a bloodbath, and then 2 is kind of an afterthought.
Yeah.
All right, next
I
question.
hope we beat the absolute Canuck out of those guys.
When will the first fight occur? Overtime is plus 150, first period plus 200, second period plus 300, third period plus 350.
It's going to come later in the first period.
So you go first period.
First period.
Early in the second period.
Okay. Will a player be bleeding after the first fight? Yes, plus 600. No, minus 1,500.
Were they bleeding the other night? I'm trying to remember.
I think one of the Canadians.
Yeah.
It's too hard to get a clean shot. I'll say no.
I'm going to go no, too.
Make me bleed my own blood. Yeah, I'm going to go no.
All right. Which team's player will bleed after the first fight? Canada minus 130, USA minus 110.
I mean, if I had to pick, I'd go Canada.
Canada.
Obviously, they showed their weakness the other night when they were bleeding, so.
We ain't bleeding in Boston.
It's going to be syrup all over the floor. Isn't that what their blood's made of?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
That and mayonnaise.
Will a player's helmet come off during the first fight? Yes, plus 550. No, 1,000.
Does it count if they take it off by themselves? Or does it have to
come
get
off,
knocked
Pat.
off?
It just says a player's helmet
go
come
yes.
off during the first fight.
yeah.
Yes.
There's a helmet coming off.
Which team's helmet will come off first?
Oh, the
during fight?
Canadians.
Canada's
Yeah.
minus 130.
Yeah.
Mhm.
USA minus 110.
Take him by the hair.
All right, here's the next one. Will the goalies fight each other?
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Yes, plus 2,500. No, minus 10,000.
If you guys are going to fight, drop all the gear. No pads.
That would take a while.
I would love that, but no.
Yeah, no. That would be really cool, though. I would love that.
Will there be 3 fights and 3 unanswered goals in the game?
No.
Yes is plus 10,000.
I'm going to
I
go
was
no.
about to say, you would make a killing
Yeah.
if that one hit. Yeah, no.
All right, which players will fight during the game? The Kachuk brothers.
Yeah.
Were
Matthew,
they minus 10,000?
No, the Matthew is minus 250. Brady is minus 200. Sam Bennett of Canada minus 150. Brandon Hagel is minus 150. Any of those?
Give me the Kachucks.
Either one?
Yeah.
I was about to say, do a parlay, do a fight parlay with the Kachuk brothers.
Sam Bennett, he's the captain, right?
Of Canada?
Well,
Yes.
Canada?
Yes.
Yeah, Sam Bennett will be involved in a fight.
Okay. What will happen on game day? Choice 1, USA, USA, USA chants during the Canadian national anthem. That is plus 300. Player helmet comes off during a fight is plus 550. Player bleeds from fight plus 600. Trump slips on the ice after the game at plus 1,500.
That's only plus 1,500?
Yep. Player knocked out unconscious during the fight is plus 2,500. And the final option is a player loses a tooth during the fight. That's
Oh.
plus 5,000.
They're going to roll out the carpet, number one.
Yeah.
Trump
They
is
are.
not going to slip on the ice, hopefully, because that's a new hip. USA, USA, USA.
Yeah. I like
Yeah,
that one too.
something like that will happen.
Okay, that's plus 300. That's got the best odds of happening. All right, what will be said first during the broadcast? Will it be tariff minus 140 or the 51st state, which is plus 100?
This is my favorite one. So
I'm probably going to
far.
go tariff on that one.
Tariff less controversial for the broadcast
Yeah.
crew.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
Will Donald Trump be said on broadcast during the first period?
Yes.
Plus
Good.
250, no, minus 400.
Yeah.
Probably yeah.
What will happen after the game? Canada wins. Trump removes the increased tariffs. That's minus 500.
That's
US
minus 500.
Yes. USA wins. Canada becomes the 51st state. That's plus 300.
That's what we should be playing for, right? If Canada
right.
loses, they get to be the 51st state, and if we win, then we'll get rid of the tariffs.
Says, will Donald Trump be on the ice to award the trophy? Yes, plus 400. No, minus 700.
No, he won't even be there at the end of the game.
No.
Especially if they lose.
Yeah, no, he's not going to be there the whole time. No way.
Will the team to score first win the game? Yes, minus 260. No, minus 175.
Yes.
I'm going to go no because the other night Canada went up 1-0, right?
Mhm.
And then,
Yep.
yeah, so I'm going to go no.
Because we had all those guys in the penalty box.
Yeah.
Canada's not going to score.
Ooh, I like that.
I like where your head's at.
All right. When will the first score happen? Inside the first 10 minutes, minus 140, or 10 minutes or later in the contest, plus 100?
No, I think USA comes out and they continue what we saw this past weekend.
I think so
Within
too.
the first 10 minutes.
I'll go after that.
All right, here we go. Which celebrities will attend the Four Nations Face-Off final? Drake at plus 150.
For sure.
No.
Eli Manning plus 250.
That's a random one.
Justin Bieber plus 350. Vince Vaughn plus 350.
We're just going with famous Canadians.
Steve Carell plus 500.
Well, Vince Vaughn's not Canadian.
Christy Brinkley plus 600. Conor McGregor plus 800. Evander Holyfield plus 800. Shaquille O'Neal plus 800.
Oh.
Gordon Ramsay plus 800.
These are so random.
Will Ferrell is plus 800. Snoop Dogg is also plus 800. Mike Myers from Saturday Night Live, and of course, Austin Powers fame. He's a Canadian, plus 1,200. Hulk Hogan, plus 1,600.
I think that's the value pick right there. That's the value pick. He'll sit with Trump.
I like the Justin Bieber pick too. He's a big hockey guy.
Oh, man, I just feel like the Canadian fans, they're that's you want to talk about a hostile environment you're walking into?
Oh, yeah.
I feel like the celebrity, maybe Drake.
Yeah, but then he'd probably be pulling for United States, and that would make everyone mad.
He wants to know who's favored, and they tell him U.S., and he becomes a United States fan. I think that, but some of the early ones that you mentioned, I could see.
Drake, Eli Manning, Justin Bieber, Vince Vaughn, Steve Carell.
Why is Vince Vaughn a big hockey guy or something?
You got me.
Can't believe Mark Wahlberg being in Boston.
Yeah.
He's not listed.
Him or Matt Damon or Ben Affleck or somebody.
I will go.
I'd go value. I'm taking Hulk Hogan if Trump's there.
You know what? I'll go Vince Vaughn.
You go Vaughn?
Yeah.
That's plus 350. Get you a nice
Chicago
return.
guy probably likes hockey.
The Blackhawks. Probably likes the Blackhawks. Yeah.
He's from Minnesota too,
Oh,
so maybe
Minnesota.
that's part of.
But he's a Cubs and Notre Dame fan, right?
Yeah, I know he's a Notre Dame fan for sure.
And he's a Cubs fan too.
Yeah.
So I don't want to watch his movies.
That's why Pat doesn't like his movies.
I actually like him. I think he's a good comedian.
Have you ever seen that finger that's like partially severed? He's got the weird finger.
Ugh.
Did it happen from an ice skate?
Oh, like Megan Fox and her thumb.
Hmm?
Yeah, never mind.
What's wrong with her thumb?
It's weird. She got a weird thumb.
Megan Fox thumb.
It's like a toe thumb?
It's something like that.
And a little fun fact. All of the USA hockey jerseys for the Four Nations is sold out.
Really?
Like you can't get them anywhere.
Yeah, she does have a weird thumb, doesn't
That's
she?
so weird. It's a toe thumb.
Yeah.
Unfortunate.
I was going to buy a Landrum jersey, but once again, it's sold out.
Yeah, sorry.
They do have women's jerseys, so Molly can get one.
Oh, yay.
But they do not have.
They have
men's
Husky
jerseys.
women's jerseys? I could probably wear one of those.
I did not check that category.
Husky women.
I think a hockey kit would be cool. I like the way the jerseys or the uniforms look. They look like they keep you warm. They're pretty thick, they look like.
Yeah.
Cool looking.
So they call them a sweater.
That's a good point. It is cold at hockey games.
All right, so there's some fun prop bets, money-making opportunities
I
for you
love
tomorrow
it.
night as you watch the
Let's do it.
big hockey game from Boston, Massachusetts.
I still just can't believe the odds on the America or Canada wins and the tariffs get removed. Like the fact that that's minus 500 is just incredible.
Yeah, Canada wins. Trump removes the increased tariffs. That's minus 500. USA wins. Canada becomes the 51st state, is plus 300.
If they became a 51st state, would you guys want to go there immediately?
No.
No?
I've just never, no offense to Canada, but I've just never had much of an interest in going
I've
there.
been to Canada.
Of course you have, Molly.
I liked it.
Did you go to Edmonton or did you go somewhere else?
No, I did not go to Edmonton.
Now, Vancouver is a city that I would like to go to before I get on my Alaskan cruise.
You know, our good friend FSU Dave has dual citizenship. Did you know that?
Really?
Canada and the United States. Yep.
I did not know. I
Yeah,
guess he had to do a lot of hockey
So does
stuff,
Freddie
maybe?
Freeman.
Man.
Still don't like him.
Just
huh?
won't let that
Baseball
go.
season's getting closer, kids. This is
All right.
where the hate cranks up.
More three-man front on this Wednesday. This is Jocks 94.5. I'm sure the Bostonians in attendance tomorrow night are going to be upstanding U.S. citizens, and they will show the respect desired of the Canadian national anthem. Oh, Canada. Don't you agree?
No? I don't know.
I mean, isn't Boston noted as the most hospitable city in the United States?
Oh, they're so nice.
Absolutely.
Okay.
That's what I've always
I
heard.
just figured that they would extend the hand of graciousness to our compatriots to the north.
I really do.
No, you don't.
I do.
No, I don't buy that.
I don't want to. I would hate to boo during their national anthem, but I know they did it
Payback
to us. But
hey, their national anthem's going to be ours soon, or ours is going to be theirs.
So if you were in attendance, would you boo during their national anthem?
Yes.
Honestly,
Yes.
you would.
Yes.
Personally, I would not.
I would.
Well, I know you wouldn't.
I don't think I would.
I would. They disrespected us.
So you're going to stoop to their level?
Yes, 100%. In this situation, I would.
Says a lot about you.
Love it.
Well, if you're looking for a place to catch the Four Nations or any of the college basketball action we got going on, go and check out Big Whiskey's because they are the place for great food of all varieties with a full menu ranging from apps, salads, burgers to steaks. Their bar features unique cocktails, over 120 whiskeys, including whiskey on tap. They also offer different food and drink specials for each day of the week. They have happy hour, and the kitchen is open late every single night. So go check them out in the Stadium Trace Village off Highway 150 near the Hoover Met.
So does the name Cody Campbell, does that resonate with you guys? Cody Campbell. Doesn't strike a chord with you? Name doesn't sound familiar? All right, it may not resonate throughout the Deep South, but he's a major Texas Tech booster. Campbell is the founder of Texas Tech's NIL collective, the Matador Club. Campbell has been the main financial source for the Red Raiders' top-ranked transfer portal class this winter. Yesterday, he was in the news. He owns an oil and natural gas company, and he sold it. And he sold it for $4 billion. That's right, with a B.
Hope he didn't sell it to the Chinese.
$4 billion.
Sold it to Canada. We're going to get it back. Don't worry.
Working with Texas Tech head football coach Joey McGuire, Campbell helped piece together the #1 transfer portal class, the price tag, and it's been reported by multiple outlets, so this is not just conjecture. This is multiple reports now. The price tag for their transfer portal class alone was $10 million. That he stroked the check and made sure that was taken care of.
So they could do that for the next 400 years with the money he just sold his company for. That's great. Good for them.
So following Texas Tech's loss 41-27 to Colorado in early November, Campbell wrote on X that there was awful officiating in the game. A user commented to his tweet, and they told the billionaire, "Why don't you buy us an offensive line?" Campbell replied on X saying, "I will." The Texas Tech booster followed through with his process, putting together the top class in the portal. Once again, just those players this offseason, $10 million. And it just is not Texas Tech football. The top softball pitcher of the nation last year, Najeri Kanadri, transferred to Texas Tech this offseason. She signed a 1-year deal to pitch for Texas Tech for $1.2 million.
Goodness.
I would do that as well.
Yeah.
Like the rise ball.
So Cody Campbell,
as well,
who was already a rich man, sold his oil and natural gas company for $4 billion in cash and stock.
I just wonder when you're sitting on something like that, what makes you decide, I think I'm ready to part ways with it, right? Was he waiting for it to get to 4 billion and that was the number in his head? Because, there's a lot of ego and stuff in play with these kind of guys. I'm just fascinated by that kind of process. I can't imagine sitting on something and waking up and going, I want to make $4 billion.
I love somebody on Twitter after a loss to Deion Sanders, where they basically say, why don't you go buy us an offensive line? I will. So
and he did.
Put his money where his mouth was.
And he was on the O-line back in his play.
He sold his company to Diamondback Energy, and they're out of Texas.
There you go.
I'm looking at the CEO now, see if he has A favorite
what
college.
affiliation he has. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a lot of money. Man, just imagine if Patrick
Oh!
Mahomes was a few years younger.
Imagine this.
Texas A&M.
Texas A&M.
Yeah.
Bachelor of Science degree in Petroleum Engineering for Travis Dice.
See one of the Merry Milkmen during his time on campus?
I don't know.
Maybe.
Maybe so. Didn't play a sport, but I was a milkman.
Better hope Texas Tech doesn't want to go get old baby Mahomes up there in Lincoln and bring him home, Molly.
Don't say that, please. No, he needs his own identity.
Continued the lineage.
Do you think the milkmen, they have reunions?
Oh, sure they do.
They do it at like a,
Yeah.
you think they do it at like a resort?
Yeah, it's at a nice French bistro, I think.
And Chris Fowler's the guest speaker. 1-800-239-WJOX. Let's go to the phones. Let's talk to, is that Michael?
Yes.
Okay. Hey, Michael, what's happening?
Hey, Pat. Hey, Pat, what's happening today?
Man, doing good,
What's going
Michael.
on,
Hope
man?
you are.
Doing well. Y'all guys were talking about all your subscriptions that y'all had.
Yes.
That y'all didn't know y'all had. I had a subscription to Walmart Plus, and I didn't know I had it, but I did it by accident, so I had to end up canceling that subscription.
Hey, Michael, is Walmart Plus still around? I mean, I knew it was a couple of years ago. Is that still a subscription service, Walmart Plus?
I think so.
Okay.
I believe so. But anyway, my original question was, I know they can, but how do you see Auburn down the stretch? How do you see specifically Chad Baker Mazzaro improving? And then my next question is, what do you think about the New Orleans Saints hire with Kellen Moore? And then what is UAB in regards to the NCAA tournament?
All right. Thank you, Michael. We will address all of those. Let's start with the last one first, UAB.
UAB, they're going to have to win the conference tournament. I think that they're fully capable. But right now it's important that they finish strong, and they can. They're all tough, but they still have Memphis at home at Bartow coming up March 2nd or March 3rd. It's a Sunday. It's next Sunday. And then they've got Tulane to finish out the season in New Orleans on the road, then the tournament. But yeah, they can run the table. They're fully capable of doing that in the tournament, and that would book them an automatic bid. Not going to get an at-large, obviously. Chad Baker Mazzara, if he's healthy now, but the wild card, and he's really good when he is not involved in extracurriculars. But part of that is that kind of helps him go. Seems like that feeds him.
Feeds the engine.
Yep. And what was the third one?
Kellen Moore being the new head coach of the New Orleans Saints. I think he's an outstanding young up-and-comer in the NFL. Did a great job with the Philadelphia Eagles. So they just need a quarterback.
I was about to say, you're kind of limited what you can do with Derek Carr at this point, but yeah, he's a great young coach. Obviously knows what it's like to win at the highest level. So, and you're in an easy division, which helps.
Don is next on the program. Hey, Don, hope you're well.
Hey, guys. How's everybody doing today? Great time yesterday, Pat, Landrum, and everything. Molly, we missed you up there yesterday.
Oh, I missed everybody, too.
She missed you, too.
Yeah, and hey, by the way, Molly, just to let you know about my shoe coming off, I got 2 half feet, and sometimes when I'm walking up the steps, that my left shoe will come off. I'll be sometimes.
Yeah, she was worried about that. She was quizzing me and Landrum about it in the office today.
Oh, no, yeah. She was worried about it. I heard her laugh and say, please take a picture of it.
She was just asking if we needed to buy you some shoes that fit.
Yeah, I was a little concerned.
No, Landon. These shoes are special made shoes. These are $400 shoes that got special insoles in them, and my feet don't go all the way to the end. That's why the shoe falls off.
Okay.
Everything, but hey guys, I got a fun. When y'all talking about the hockey fights and everything, but most of y'all are too young to remember. But do you remember the movie Slapshot?
Yes.
With Paul Newman and all the Hanson brothers.
Yep.
Well, one of the Hanson brothers played here in Birmingham on the original Bulls from the late '70s. And Pat, you were you already here in Birmingham in the late '70s?
I was not.
Okay, well, we had a team called the WHA, and Dave Hanson of the Hanson brother was the Hanson brother I'm getting ready to tell you about. We were playing the Winnipeg Jets with the famous Bobby Hull playing on the team. And it was in the playoff games, and Winnipeg had already had the game won. It was the clinching game in the playoffs. Hanson just kicked his butt, and Bobby Hull had a toupee, and Hanson knocked the helmet off of him and tore the toupee off his head.
That's hilarious. Yeah, I used to work with Bob Lockamy, and Bob used to do stuff with the hockey team. Yeah.
Yeah, good old Bob, buddy. I used to see him all the time. Great guy. But hey, Landon, buddy, I got a question for you about what you're saying about your picks tonight. What is Chaney Johnson on that player prop?
Chaney Johnson, Don is 11.5, more or less than 11.5 points.
Okay, well, okay, I got some advice for you because if we get a big lead, which I'm hoping we do, they're going to take. Broom's not going to play the whole complete 40 minutes. I would take the under on him, take Chaney Johnson and Denver Jones over, and I would definitely take Mark Sears over because Mark Sears and Conrad will agree with me. Mark Sears has got something to prove tonight. He will probably score about 24, 25 points, and I think Alabama will win that game.
Okay. Well, Don, there it is. Thank you. Enjoy the games tonight, and we'll talk to you tomorrow, I'm sure.
Absolutely. Thanks, guys.
All right. Thank you, Don. We continue. Pat's got questions. We try to answer those questions. 3-man front and Jocks, 94.5.
136 Jocks 94.5 each and every day. I come up with 5 questions. They give me answers. This is what we call Pat Ponders. Brought to you by Courtesy GMC in Trussville. Go by and see their inventory, or you can go online at courtesybirmingham.com. Question number 1. The Philadelphia Eagles' A.J. Brown has bought a life-size mannequin to put his unwashed Super Bowl jersey on display in his home. If you won a Super Bowl, how would you display your uniform or helmet in your house?
I'd buy one of those like hanging shadow boxes that you can get.
Yeah, the glass.
Yeah, and put it in there, maybe put like a few pictures, some confetti.
I would run a little LED lighting there, light up the box at night.
Yeah. Like put the helmet somewhere on display too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I was about to say, have something in there that, Super Bowl, whatever, here's the final score, something like that. But yeah, and I would definitely be putting that in the foyer of my house. Like, when you open the door, that's the first thing you're going to see when you walk in
So
my
everyone's doing shadow box. They're not doing a mannequin like A.J. Brown did.
No, that's weird.
Imagine like it's the middle of the night and you're going up to, I don't know, go get some water, use the restroom, and you just see that. Yeah.
I had a life-size cutout. This might sound weird. I had a life-size cutout of Derek Jeter growing up.
Of course you did.
And it would scare the crap out of me sometimes because I'd forget it was there, and it would be in, the spare bedroom or something, and I'd, walk at night and see a shadow and get spooked.
That's okay. Guess who I had up in my room?
Ozzy?
Nope.
Who?
Manute Bol.
Okay. Yeah, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, full-size Manute Bol.
Okay.
Yep. Where literally his head was
7'7".
Yeah, I'm like, how?
His head was sticking over the door, like when you pulled the door back, there he was.
That's terrifying, kind of.
Yeah, I had a friend that worked at Just for Feet.
Yeah.
So, hey, we're getting rid of this thing. You want it? I'm like, heck yeah. Kind of weird, but Manute Bol.
See, that was my thing. Somebody offered it to me, and it's like, I feel like I have to take it, but then I also feel weird having it. So I just was just kind of there for a number of years.
Was it just Derek Jeter in his uniform?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It wasn't holding anything like a promotional deal?
I think he had like a bat over his shoulder or something like that, but it was just a cutout.
Where is it now?
It's still in his room.
Yeah. I actually
Paige
think
made
it's
him
gone.
get rid of it.
Yeah.
I think when we
You're a big boy
moved
now,
out of Hayden,
Conrad.
it's
We got to get
gone.
rid of it.
Yeah. Well, some people need a nightlight. I needed my Derek Jeter cutout.
Oh.
Where's Conrad? He's
in the guest
having
bedroom.
Derek Jeter time.
Him and Derek are hanging out watching the game.
Is that what you called
Yeah,
it?
is that what
Watching the game. Yeah.
All right, question number 2.
Why do we keep having to get Derek Jeter relaminated? Conrad, be more careful. Okay.
Last month, the Philadelphia Eagles were selling field snow from their playoff win versus the Rams.
Ugh, I don't want that.
The snow was collected from the end zone at Lincoln Financial Field, and for $50, you could have owned a pint of the snow. Now, there was only 100 pints that were sold, and it was first come, first serve. They sold out within seconds.
Of course they did.
The question is, do you own or would you like to own a part of a field or court of a famous venue or game?
Yes. Court would be really neat.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, field would be cool too, but I think court would be awesome.
Yeah, no, yeah. I mean, that would be cool if you could have a section of the wood flooring. But yeah, I mean, if I could have a piece of, I guess now Nick Saban Field at Bryant-Denny Stadium or a piece of Yankee Stadium or something. Yeah, I think that would be cool. It wouldn't be as cool as because you have the stadium seats, right?
From Busch Stadium.
See,
Busch Stadium 2.
That's
cool.
Now that's cool.
Mhm.
I would want something like that. That would be very cool.
I'd take a piece of Tom Osborne Field at Memorial.
They didn't sell that at any point in time when they redid the field?
Not that I know of. I never got any information on it.
So in my collection, I have the Rose Bowl from 2009. I've got sod from that. I have a larger portion of when they changed the turf out at Boise. I've got blue turf.
Oh, you have the blue. Yeah.
That's cool.
And then I have a piece of the hedge brought to you by our good friend Landrum Roberts, who was doing sideline for the Georgia UAB game. And he went over there and took care of business, and he brought me part of the hedge.
It's very cool.
Mm-hmm.
You've got one too, right? Didn't you bring one home for you? No?
Mm-mm. No, but I do have a piece of Reynolds Razorback Stadium field turf that came up in a nice square that I put in my backpack this year, and it is actually planted and growing amongst the other grasses in my backyard.
That's cool.
Aren't you the guy that stole the sand from Augusta?
No, man, that's serious.
They were not playing around with that.
And you know what? They made an example out of the guy. Nobody's tried it since.
Nope.
You know what? It's not really sand.
No, it's not.
What a joke. What is it?
Just blew your mind. It's not real sand.
What is it? Just artificial sand?
It's their own concoction.
Huh.
But it is not sand.
And it comes from a quarry in South Carolina?
I think that's right. Yeah.
I did not know that. That's
See?
cool. Learn something.
We teach you kids stuff here on this show.
Every day.
When it's not dirty. All right. Next question. 51.2 billion. That's the cumulative minutes of streaming time on Christmas Day 2024. It was the most streamed day of television in the United States in history. 51.2 billion minutes of streaming on Christmas Day. The question is this. I'm going to give you the top 5 things that were streamed on Christmas Day. How many of these 5 did you stream on Christmas Day? Number 1, Ravens, Texans. 2 was Chiefs, Steelers. 3 was the movie Red One, which was on Prime. Number 4 was Carry On Netflix. That was good, by the way.
Oh, yeah, the Jason
enjoyed that.
Bateman one, yeah.
Number 5, Elf, which was on Hulu Max. Those were the top 5 streamed programs on Christmas Day 2024. How many of the 5 did you happen to catch at least a portion of on Christmas Day?
2 of the 5, and it was 2 NFL games. The other ones I'd watched
at other times, just not Christmas.
Yep.
Yeah, same. 2 of the 5. I watched both the 2 NFL games. Same with Landrum. I didn't watch Elf on Christmas, and I've never seen the other 2 movies. So.
Yeah, I was the same as Molly. I watched the NFL games, and I watched. I streamed Elf, just not on Christmas Day, but leading up to Christmas. So yeah, just the football games.
All right, just for fun, I'm going to give you the rest of the top 10 and just see if you guys caught any of these on Christmas Day. Virgin River.
Nope.
No idea what that is.
That's on Netflix. A Christmas Story, which was on Max. Home Alone, which was on Disney Plus. How the Grinch Stole Christmas was on Peacock. And then National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation on Max.
Watch that one.
Me too.
You know, the thing is, now that you just said that, Christmas Story I did watch technically on Christmas because it was
But they did the marathon.
It was after midnight,
Yeah.
Christmas Eve, and then into Christmas morning. Did watch that, fell asleep on the couch. But all of those others that you mentioned, I watch a ton at the beginning of December all the way through to kind of get me, you feeling the spirit, getting going. But I don't really watch that much during Christmas Day.
That's surprising me. That's the biggest streaming day of the year, just because you think, you're with your family. A lot of people are traveling, so that's kind of surprised me. But I know a lot of people, a lot of families go to the movie theater on Christmas Day. That's a big thing for a lot of people. So
coming in at number 20 on the list was Landman.
Oh, I guess Jerry Jones was streaming himself
on Paramount Plus. Yep, it was the most streamed day in the history of United States television. 51.2 billion minutes of streaming activity. That's today's Pat Ponders, brought to you by Courtesy GMC at Trustful. Go by and see them. Exit 32 off of I-459. Online inventory, courtesybirmingham.com.
We see good and we see bad, and Conrad is seeing something very, very bad. You don't want to miss it. That's next. 3-man front, Josh 94.5, Conrad reliving his Derek Jeter cutout memories. Is this what you would play?
No, it's setting us up for the worst thing I've seen, I swear.
Thank you for the text. Some we can read, some we cannot, but
I knew I was putting myself at risk the second I mentioned it.
Yeah. But you're a trooper.
I appreciate the honesty.
Yeah, way to go. I will never look at Derek Jeter the same.
He's a great guy.
I will look at you the same. I will never look at Derek Jeter the same.
Be hard for you to look at me differently at this point.
We see good and we see bad. Conrad has apparently seen something bad. This is the worst thing that Conrad has seen.
All right, we're going to have to be careful with this one a little bit. So this is some news, or I guess rumors that were circulating on social media yesterday around a particular woman who has been in the news a lot lately for something that none of us condone here. This is very bad and awful, but she has gotten a lot of attention for this. And so there is a woman who has been around social media, and she had been advertising that she was trying to set a world record. That world record was to sleep with over 1,000 guys in one day, a 24-hour period.
Ugh.
Which, if you just do some simple math, that seems about impossible. But according to her, that was a record that she had achieved and that she had broken here over the last couple of months. And it became a kind of a viral joke on social media about this whole situation. Not going to go much further than that. But now, after this woman who goes by the name of Bonnie had completed her world record and slept with over 1,000 men in one day, it appears that, shocker, she's pregnant.
No.
Who would have ever guessed that? That after that world record was broken, some rumors were circulating yesterday, and she was making some cryptic posts on social media. And as you can imagine, social media, being as it may, was having a field day with this yesterday. So, yeah, I guess the lesson is when you sleep around like that, odds are something like that's going to happen eventually. I mean, a 1 in 1,000 chance. But I think now the real question is, how are we going to find the father?
Number 823, it's you, buddy.
There's going to be a lot of paternity tests being taken here, I guess, in the next 9 months for some of these men. But think about having to explain that to your child one day.
It's despicable.
It is absolutely horrifying.
Bottom of the barrel when it comes to humanity.
Yes, it is. And the fact that, you know, I guess you could criticize me for bringing up the story in the first place, but the fact that we've gotten to a point where this is a social media joke and has gone viral in a lot of ways, unfortunately, I think just kind of tells us where we are as a society. But this is absolutely horrible and despicable. And, you know, we can make all the jokes that we want, but the fact that this kind of stuff has been glorified and gets as much attention as it does is not great. But if you believe in, I guess, karma, then the adult, she's got to be an adult now and make some adult decisions. And hopefully this leads her to change her ways and live a different life.
Yes.
But
pray for Bonnie, but if nothing else, pray for that child.
Pray for the child. Yes, absolutely. So, yeah, that is the worst thing that I've seen. It's one of those stories that has gone so viral, and it has been everywhere, and everybody's making jokes about it. And it truly is, a lot of the times, we can't say this, but this is truly the worst thing that I've seen in quite some time.
Thank you, Conrad.
Yeah, sorry. Had to put a damper on the day, but hopefully someone out there can chuckle at that.
I don't know how you pivot off of that.
I don't either.
But I will do my darndest. I was talking with someone last night in New Orleans, and they were telling me that they did not anticipate that there was going to be a lot of grandstanding going on once the meetings had concluded between the Big Ten and the SEC. And because most of the hand-wringing and most of the things that we talked about yesterday on this program detailed what kind of conversations we expect to hear coming out of the meetings. Well, Ross Dellinger, he is there on the scene in New Orleans, and he just tweeted out the following: most Big Ten and SEC athletic directors filtering out of the joint meeting. They've declined comment on specifics around a future playoff format, but several of them expressed the expectation that the playoff will expand beyond the teams that we currently have. He says the commissioners are going to speak to the media momentarily. Now, we saw that 5 months ago in Nashville. Once the meetings had concluded, Greg Sankey and Tony Petitti basically had a joint impromptu kind of press conference. So I assume that's what we're going to get. And of course, it will happen during the Paul Feinbaum show.
I was about to say, I can't wait for that news to break in 10 minutes.
After 2 o'clock when the SEC network goes live. So it'll be very interesting to hear what both of those commissioners have to say, Landrum. But the expectation is that I would think that both individuals will be very tight-lipped and kind of let the proposal speak for itself next week when the college football, I guess, the management committee gets together.
Yeah, and we expect changes, but what do those changes exactly look like, and how much gnashing of teeth has to take place before everyone eventually decides that the Big Ten and the SEC get their way?
I mean, we all know how it's ultimately going to play out, right? It's just a matter of how
Is there any doubt
B.
that the SEC and the Big Ten are going to get their way?
I don't see any way around it unless all of a sudden Greg Sankey and Tony Petitti, they feel sorry for everybody and they decide that they're going to, you know.
I mean, what at the end of the day, what are Jim Phillips and Brett Yormark going to do? They're not going to go and do their own thing.
Well, and that's the thing. At the end of the day, you want a seat at the table, right? You're not going to get up and take your ball and go home and play somewhere else.
Unless Texas Tech oil tycoon Cody Campbell.
That's right.
The Cody Campbell postseason invitational.
Yep.
To rival the CFP.
That's it.
It'll just be
$1
Texas
billion
Tech and Texas
on the
A&M
line
every year.
Yep.
So ESPN pays $1.3 billion a year for the college football playoff.
So they could have the playoff for 3 years.
Yeah, so Cody could finance it for 3 years.
Yeah.
I think he loves Texas Tech. I don't know if he loves Texas Tech that much.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, so keep it tuned right here. The Paul Feinbaum Show is next. I'm sure Paul will be all over this story as the Big Ten and the SEC meetings have concluded. Both commissioners will be meeting with the media momentarily. We will break that down tomorrow. We'll also recap Auburn, Alabama, Samford, and UAB all on the hardwood tonight. Stay tuned. The Paul Feinbaum Show is next.